There aren't many ways to describe what just took place tonight beyond the word embarrassing. We'll dig into all of what just happened in Game 60 for the Toronto Maple Leafs in this loss tonight against the Ottawa Senators, dropping this one 5-2. Here on the Leafs Nation After Dark, right here on the Leafs Nation 401 YouTube channel. I'm Zack Phillips. This, as always, is a presentation of Bet365. We're going to dig it all down. We're going to get into everything that took place in this game tonight. We'll dig into everything that's taken place in this season and what this team does going forward here tonight on the Postgame show. And I want you guys, the viewers, to be a part of this. The fans, the chat, all of you guys, to be a significant piece in what takes place here on the Postgame show tonight. I have a lot to say. I have a lot of thoughts on this team and this game, and I'm going to break all of that down. But this is a fan-based show, and I want to establish that before we go any further here tonight. So starting this thing off, I want to let you guys know a couple of things will happen here during the post-game tonight. First of all, I'm going to give my thoughts on what we just saw. I'll give my thoughts on the whole picture, but I also am going to get into some super chats that take place. You guys want to send your questions, your comments, your concerns into the show. You send in a super chat. You click the $sign there in your chat to send that in. You type your message. You select the amount that you want to send. But don't worry, it's not going to me. Proceeds from our super chats go to Sick Kids Charity. So get mad, get angry, get pissed off, get frustrated, and do it for the sake of the kids, for Sick Kids Charity. Send those messages in. Proceeds from our super chats go to Sick Kids Charity, Canada's #1 research-intensive children's hospital, #3 in North America. So send those in. We'll dig into what happened. And then, as well, I want to hear from you guys, not just in the chat and reading. I'm going to take calls here tonight on the post game. Whether you want to get in here and you want to yell and scream about everything that happened, about this season, this team, players, coaches, GMs, management, front office, president, I don't give a shit. Let me know. Call into the post-game show here tonight. I want to hear it. You want to call in? You want to have a conversation? You want to ask questions? You want to disagree with me? Let's hear it. We'll open the call lines up in a moment, but let me first of all dig into what just took place here tonight. I want to start this by just at least saying, start this monologue by at least saying, I am well aware that this is not a well-constructed hockey team. There are significant flaws. There are massive holes in this lineup. They are flawed. They are a poorly built team. That is evident. I was of the belief that this team was going to be good enough. But what I'm going to get into, I think, leads to the fact, or leads to one of the main reasons why, even as constructed the way they are, they couldn't just be competitive enough to be pushing for a playoff spot, to still remain in the conversation, to stay up there with the teams who are at least around the playoff bubble, because at this point, it's over. After this loss here tonight, after Game 60, it's over. But the combination of poor management decisions, poor coaching decisions, a lack of fight in that room, a lack of character in that room. I'm sorry, I know there's going to be people pissed off that I brought up the word character here to describe what's taken place, but that's a problem. It has been for 9 years, and now in year 10 of the Matthews era, it remains a problem. And then you add in some of the injuries, and I'm not using that as an excuse, but it's a fact of what's happened this season. You add that into the mix. You cannot overcome this. You cannot overcome the obstacles set in place by yourselves, frankly. Too old, too slow, not enough give a fuck. This game tonight is one of the most embarrassing games that I've seen the Toronto Maple Leafs play in over 10 years. And I say over 10 years because this is year 10 of the Matthews era. And even dating to the season in which they tanked for Austin Matthews, it at least felt like there was some dignity in those games. It at least felt like They were competitive and they gave a fuck and they tried. They just weren't very good. They were in some close ones. They were battling, but we all knew what was coming around the corner. You drafted some young guys. Morgan Rielly was still fresh. You were hoping to get Austin Matthews. And even in that season, it still felt like there was more dignity, more pride in that room than anything else. To watch this performance tonight, coming off of what just happened against the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers, that is the most embarrassing game I have seen of this team in 10 years. Over 10 years. That was outright fucking pathetic. That was a complete and utter disgrace of a performance by those guys. And don't just hit me with the bullshit of, well, they're not that good. I know they're not constructed perfectly. I know that they were constructed at least as a middle ground hockey team. But that effort, that character, that lack of fucking pride that was displayed in this game tonight is why they didn't even have a shot this season. You took out the talent, and then it just got shown right in front of us how pathetic it was. Again, not excusing the coaching and the management decisions, because those guys are right up there and need to be in the conversation of the embarrassing display we just saw take place at Scotiabank Arena tonight. They are right there with those guys. But those guys on the ice was flat out fucking pathetic. There is no excuse for that. And I know that people will, again, push back and say they weren't that good. I get it. But you saw them compete earlier. You saw them battle. You saw them go on that win streak after Christmas. You saw them beat the Colorado Avalanche in one of the most inspired efforts of the season. This isn't just ups and downs and peaks and valleys of a year where that one happens and then you drop a stinker to the Sens here tonight. No, that was a quit job by that group. Full fucking quit out there tonight. Tampa was a lack of interest. Florida was realizing that the gap was getting bigger. They were getting further away. And this one tonight was outright embarrassing. Now, enough of the buzzwords. Talking about the actual hockey that took place tonight. Combining the character and the lack of pride that was out there. It was just flat out bad fucking hockey. You were outclassed, outworked, out-desired by the Ottawa Senators tonight. You went into this game not that much of in a different position than what the Senators were in. It wasn't that much different. Points-wise. Pathway to the rest of the season, sure, different. I get it. But that was embarrassing. Home ice, your captain is honored. You at least gave somewhat of an inspiring performance before the Olympic break to say, maybe there's something. You know, I looked at that and I said, hey, I'm gonna be okay if this team misses the playoffs, but they compete the rest of the way. They show up, they go balls to the wall, they lose the games, they don't make the playoffs. You do the right things in terms of asset management, selling off, getting ready for next season. You do that stuff, I can chew on it. I can soak in it, and I can say, fuck it, it happens, let's move on to next season. I thought going into the break that those final 3 games, they're not indicative of a team that was going to go on a run and be amazing for the rest of the year, but at least showed me that I could at least cheer for them each night and also be under the impression that they're doing the right things and getting themselves into position to be a better team next year. That was the complete opposite tonight. Like, that to me was like what it must be like for Rangers fans and what it must have been like for Canucks fans to watch fucking JT Miller. Things aren't going well? I don't give a fuck. Like, Rangers fans are livid because they're just watching pathetic efforts night in, night out from guys who just quit. And a guy who's supposed to be the leader and the big dog in that room wearing the C who quits. That was a full quit job. Couldn't get up the ice in transition. Giving up pucks. Giving up chances. And just kind of looking around and being like, you got him maybe. Too far gone for me. Back checks half-assed. Puck battles, not that interested in engaging in the first place. Not that interested in winning them when they did get there. Sure, there was a couple of scrums, but guess who's involved in your scrums? Max Domi, Scott Lawton, Dakota Joshua, Benoit, Jake McCabe. The guys you expect. Like, that's just what they do. That's who they are. They're going to be involved in those. Everyone else, for the most part, hands in their pockets, standing around, don't want to be involved. I don't know how you make it through the next week with Craig Berube still as your coach. I don't know how you look at the way this team was constructed and have any faith in Brad Treliving going forward. Lost trade after lost trade after lost trade. I don't know how much of that had to do with Brendan Shanahan's involvement and his desperation towards the end of his tenure. Could have been significant. But that was fucking pathetic. That, to me, leveled with Game 5 against the Panthers, Game 7 against the Panthers, Game 4 against the Bruins 2 years ago. That level of embarrassment. That's a game for me where, unfortunately, and given what I do, like, I just don't even want to go on the internet. I don't want to see what Instagram and what Twitter have to say about these games. Because I was embarrassed to be a Maple Leafs fan tonight. Being a bad team is one thing. Having no fucking nuts, no pride, no dignity in your play is a whole nother level. I was embarrassed to cheer for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. I was embarrassed to be a fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. After a game like this, that is the laughingstock of the NHL. Rightfully so. Egregious performance by those guys. Egregious. I was okay with tinkering around the edges, but I don't know how you can look at this and not say that there needs to be an overhaul. Coaching, GM, defensively, top 6. That was embarrassing. That was embarrassing tonight. Again, a reminder. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want you guys to call into this show here. I'll open up the call line shortly here. And I want you guys calling in, especially on a night like tonight. Like, this, to me, is a big call-in night. This, to me, is hearing what the fans have to say. What Leafs Nation thinks. Yell, scream, kick things, punch things, throw things. Do whatever you have to do. Tonight is about you guys and Leafs fans and how you feel. A lot of times I think it's pretty frustrating when there's boos. A lot of times I can understand it. Tonight, the fans in attendance had every single right to boo this team for the performance they just witnessed on the ice. Because that was an utter joke. Couldn't string together passes. Were bullied off the puck. You finished the first fucking period with 2 shots on goal. And oh yeah, it wasn't like 6-2 shots where it was a tightly contested defensive team and defensive game. It was a slaughtering. The Ottawa Senators shit pumped you for 20 minutes to open this game. They might as well have ended the game after 20 tonight and said shut it down, even though it was 1-1. They were lucky, bloody lucky, to walk away after 20 minutes tied 1-1. Talk about the name on the front rather than the name on the back. They didn't give a fuck about what name they were wearing tonight, front or back. It was an utter embarrassment on both sides. I don't care about them looking at the maple leaf at the end of this night. Obviously, for the most part, regularly I do. That to me was an embarrassment for the name on the back as well. Not just taking pride in the jersey and the color and the logo. That was an embarrassment for their own goddamn fucking namesake to show up and do that tonight. I'm not saying that winning this game changes the season or my outlook on the team. To say, hey, yeah, this strikes some positivity in me. They can do it. But you progressively quit more and more night after night since returning from the Olympic break. Wednesday, I give a little bit of grace to say, okay, wasn't gelling as much. But at the same time, the Tampa Bay Lightning came out and looked like they're the fucking Harlem Globetrotters playing against you. Nikita Kucherov on Wednesday put together a goddamn highlight pack you'd think came from the All-Star game. That was embarrassing. And then they followed it up with Thursday night. Injury-riddled Panthers who are ready to sell. That's a team that won 2 Stanley Cups back-to-back the last 2 seasons. They have at least identified this isn't going to work this year. Let's get ready for next season. You're potentially going to get to a point where Marchand and Tkachuk get shut down. They call it quits. Sell some assets. Hold out Barkov. Let's try again next year. And they dog walked you. And then you came in here against an Ottawa Senators team you knew was going to be hungry. You knew was going to give a fuck. You knew was going to want to win this one. And you no-showed. Losing is one thing. Getting your dick ripped off and fucking smacking you across the head with it is another. Outright pathetic performance. I cannot believe that was just the way that it went. Again, losing, one thing. Being that embarrassing, another. Shit pumped. I thought John Tavares and Matthew Knies were going to have some legs after the break. Hasn't been there. Joseph Woll, I thought could show up here in this game. Have a decent performance. Mind you, he gets hung out to dry a little bit. But even he's getting absolutely rinsed in there. Yeah, he faced a lot of shots and a lot of high danger shots, but just not to say that he didn't give it his all, but just tough performance. Knies and Tavares haven't been what I thought they'd be coming back from the break. Nick Robertson, basically only noticed him for a period of time in the Florida game. Nick Waugh has been a disappointment this season. I'll give it to Dakota Joshua for showing up and battling. But that is the worst game I've ever seen from this group. Not the Leafs in general, this group. That was pathetic. That was fucking pathetic. I'm going to pin the link in the chat to call in. You want to call into the show? You want to give your thoughts? Let's hear it. I will open up the phone lines tonight and take them for as long as I need. I will hear you guys out for as long as you guys need here tonight. Just a reminder, for those joining for the first time, for those coming back, for those who have just seen it before and aren't really sure what happens here, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. Normally we do the smelling salts. I mean, maybe here I'll get up and see if I can find them in the drawer quickly. But normally we do the smelling salts here on the postgame for every set of 50 likes. So keep hitting that like button. Keep subscribing to the channel. I owe you guys a bunch. If you guys could see what I'm dealing with around me right now, I have no bed. I have boxes all over the place. Outside my apartment is completely empty. The only things I have left up on the walls are the pictures behind me and the hats so that it doesn't look completely bare in here. But most of my shit's packed away, which I know most people don't give a fuck about, but the salts are somewhere in a drawer. So I'll try to find them quickly if I can, but keep hitting that like button, keep subscribing to the channel, Leafs Nation 401, right here on YouTube, the Leafs Nation After Dark, wherever you find your podcasts as well. Let's get to our first caller of the night. Let's welcome into the program our main man, Maxentius Desimus. Max, what's up?
Hey there. How you doing?
Not good, Max. That was pathetic. I am utterly embarrassed tonight.
Yeah, I was really hoping the Leafs would show up at least for the Ottawa Senators, but Zoom easier. Mute yourself. It started from the very beginning with the booing of Matthews that, like, we talked about last time I called in. It's like it was just kind of crappy, and I think that all the people there who paid way too much to see them got exactly what they deserved to boo him over what they did, and I'll leave it at that for that. In terms of the way they played tonight, it's just like, it's sad, man. It is really sad, and I gave up long ago, and I had some people really kind of get against me when I said I gave up, but, like, man, I think they overachieved this year even more than they did last year.
I mean, I would disagree with that. I think that they have enough pieces there. I go back to the point that I thought they had enough pieces to at least be like an average team, but a team that was going to be constructed well enough and deep enough to be able to be more primed for the playoffs. It's obviously been proven wrong here. I look at this and there's obvious holes that I just didn't anticipate. There were oversights that I didn't anticipate. So, hand up, I was incorrect in my evaluation. But that being said, I still think this group had enough talent to be at bare minimum middle of the pack. But you just see the quit in them in a game like tonight. And you can tell, like Max, I'm not saying you win this game, but you could be far more competitive in a game like this if you just showed up and battled, and they didn't.
Yeah, and man, like I spent way too much money to go see them play against the Sabres and also play against San Jose and Scotiabank, and both those times I saw them live, and they, like you said, they just don't have that, like, I'm not going to quit attitude. It's like we were up on the San Jose Sharks, and we're all like, oh, maybe they're going to win this game. And all of a sudden, nope, they come back, they lose in overtime, and, like, that's just the way this team is. You know, I saw that back then.
You know what it is? And it's a bigger picture version of this happening. But think about when the going gets tough with this group in years past in the playoffs. Get down in a game 7, get down in a game 6 in an elimination game or something, and it's like, all right, check please, thanks for having us. And it can get ugly fast because they just check out. They tune it out. You look at the beginning of this season. You want to compare this to like a playoff game. You look at the beginning of this season. Let's say that's you getting down 1-0. You got out of the gate slow. You had a tough start to the year. And we all look at it and say, it's all right. Because you're gonna get some guys getting going here. They're gonna get some chemistry. They're gonna figure out how to play without Marner. They're gonna learn. They're gonna get through this, and they'll be okay. But the team realized this is hard. This is hard to do, Max. This is hard to do. This is hard to win some of these games. It's hard to battle. It's hard to compete here. So you know what? Instead of pushing and instead of digging down and digging deep and finding our fucking testicles, we'll just call it quits. It's easier to do. It's easier to shut it down, and it's easier to do. And then all of a sudden, when it's too late, when you're down 4-1 in the third period of Game 7, they go out there and they score a power play goal, and they make it 4-2. They pull the goalie and they push a little bit, like when it was from December 23rd until near mid to late January. And then they realize, we're close, but not that close. Check, please, again. You know what? When I said I wanted to leave and I didn't want that extra drink, I actually was right. I want to leave. I'm going to take that check and I'm going to get out of here. This was a bigger version, a bigger scale version of what happens with this group. Again, willing to admit, not very well constructed. The coach, not very good for this team. Doesn't fit this team well. And quite honestly, makes some fucking ridiculous decisions. Scratching Easton Cowan for a month straight. Not playing him in the last 2 games. Now I know Elliot Friedman did come out and say he thinks that there was a chance they told Easton Cowan, hey, don't worry, you're going to play every game for the last 2 months, whatever the hell it is. Entirely possible. But you know what else? The coach scratched him before the break and sat him out of NHL games and games in general for a month. Idiotic decisions. And then a full-blown quit. Embarrassing.
Yeah, I have to address that. Somebody in the chat, Shazda, was saying this is the depressing caller. If you gave up so long ago, why are you calling in? It's like, man, I'm a Leafs fan. I will be here every single game until the end, until they eventually win, and there's no more 1967. So that's just how I am. Sometimes I'm just going to be honest about how I feel about things, and it kind of goes into I've never seen Kipper and Bourne yesterday talk about the Leafs, and they were just so distraught, and they like. Justin Bourne just came down and said, you know what? It's not like they're not trying hard. It's just that they suck.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that for the most part for this season, Max. I disagree with that for the last 3 games. Like, at least Florida and tonight. Tampa, okay, sure, maybe they just suck and they just got outclassed by a far better team. Very, very possible in that one. Florida and tonight was a quit. Florida and tonight was not trying hard. Trying hard enough. Like, I'm sorry, it just wasn't. I think that Bourne is onto something. Those guys are onto something when they're saying that for the most part this season. This year. Fair. The last week. Disagree. That looked like a full-blown quit on the coach, on the management, on the team, all of it.
Yeah, and I just brought them up because normally they try and stay pretty positive with the Leafs, and they're even down, and like this team feels like they've given up. The goalies, they've been playing great, like they're still giving up goals, but I mean, like what's playing in front of them was terrible. You got 4 shots through 30 minutes, like it's not the goalie's fault. And we're just sitting here, and I felt you earlier during your initial rant that like social media is gonna rip us so hard again. Like, get ready for all the Sens fans coming in to like crap on you.
Yeah, congrats on your 1 playoffs and the entire Brady Tkachuk tenure.
Oh yeah, I mean, but that's just like, they'll just say that's cope. But that's just the way she goes. But I don't want to stay too long. Just, I watched a video a little bit a while ago that was like the Leafs just have like kind of like a loser culture. And it's been there for the past decade where they just don't hate to lose. They just don't hate losing. It's like, oh, we lost the game, whatever. Just move on. It's not like a McKinnon where you get really pissed off and you're like, oh my God, I lost the game. I'm going to go kill somebody next game. We just lack that. And, that's the last thing I have to say.
Yeah, fair enough, Max. Thank you for the call here tonight. I greatly appreciate it. And hopefully you continue to call in through the rest of the year.
Oh, yeah, I'll be here until the end, until next year. And then, 50 years later when they actually win the cup and I'm cryogenically frozen, I'll be there.
If it even happens that soon. Thanks, Max. Appreciate it.
Later.
All right, there you go. Maxentius Desimus on the line. Let's keep it rolling. Let's get some more callers here as well. But just quickly, some super chats that have come in, and a reminder to people, proceeds from our super chats do go to Sick Kids Charity, so continue to get those super chats in. I want to know how Leafs fans are feeling about this game and this team and this season. So starting here, Rick Robitaille sends in a super chat. No comment, just a super chat. Thank you, Rick. Mike St. Jean, Matthews cannot be traded unless he wants to. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, by all accounts, it sounds like he's committed to this group as long as it doesn't go off a cliff. And I think that that's not isolated to this season. We'll see. Maybe the offseason tells a different story, but I was under the impression from all of it that it's not isolated to just this season alone. It seemed like something that would be where they're at in the summer and how they decide to rebound from this. It sounded like he was committed to the team and willing to be here and wanting to be here and figure it out and give them an opportunity to figure it out. That's just from what I've heard. But outside of that, like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I mean, unless you just decide it's full tank time, which Zach Green here with the Super Chat says Tank Nation, then maybe you explore other options. Leafs for Life 7 says, I'd rather pick up dog shit than watch the Leafs. Yeah, you're at the point where you'd almost rather pick up dog shit with bare hands, man, because that was fucking embarrassing. I'd rather be outside doing anything other than having to fucking watch that. You're basically sitting there with your eyeballs stuck open with clothespins so that you have to watch that because that was gross. XTho7999 says, when can we finally be a point where we are fed up? The coaches, the GM, etc. aren't the problem. We do not have a culture of winning. We need new personnel. X, I would agree with you in terms of the culture of winning and needing new personnel. That is fair. But I would also say the coach and the GM are part of the problem here. Player deployment. Structure and systems, not good enough. Usage of young guys or lack of usage of young guys, not good enough. Not what it needs to be a real successful NHL organization. The GM, lost trades, continuing to lose trades, making confusing moves. You even look at the beginning of this season when it was sputtering a little bit. There were opportunities there. Fire Berube. Fire Savard was just a pathetic cop-out. Recognize there's trades to be made. Things need to be different. We're still looking for a top 6 forward. Make some changes. Sat on his hands. Poked on. Oh, he's in on everybody. That's great. Everyone should be in on everyone. You're a general manager in the NHL. Like Tom Fitzgerald with the New Jersey Devils is going to be in on everyone. Jim Rutherford is going to be in on everyone because you're an NHL GM. You do your due diligence. You call. You ask questions. You ask about availability and costs. But if you're a real competitor, which you thought you were, or you recognize that this team has fucking issues, address it. The only thing that was done here was adding Troy Stecher. I love Troy Stecher, but you had to realize at some point the guy wasn't going to skate like a 25-minute number one defenseman every night for the rest of the season or his career. Performed above his weight class, did really well, became a fan favorite. I have no problem keeping Troy Stecher. I love him in my lineup. But that was it. We're too old. We're too slow. We can't move the puck. The answer's in the room. Really? The answer's in the room? Which room? Whose room? Not yours. Vicus Patronus. Would you consider trading Nyes Plus for Adam Fox? Dude, those are summer conversations that I would want to be having. Right now, what you need to be doing is getting rid of the fucking guys that are here. If Adam Fox becomes available at this deadline, yeah, sure. Okay, then let's have that talk. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't know if that's going to be the case. That seems like a big deal that happens in the summer. Robert Thomas, that's a guy that changes the future of this team in terms of short term and at least like the next 5-6 years. That's one, if he's going to be moved at the deadline, yeah, sure. Approach that with a little bit more tenacity. But right now I'm looking at it and being like, Domi, gotta go. Riley, gotta go. Robertson, I don't know if it's going to work here. Nick Waugh, gotta go. McMahon, gotta go. OEL, gotta go. Brandon Carlo, if you can get something, gotta go. OEL, gotta go. You gotta get rid of these guys. Stolars if you can. Assets back, gotta go. Like you hear right now that Oliver Ekman-Larsson could be worth a first-round pick right now. Done. Traded. Gone. I love Ekman-Larsson as a person and as a player. I want him on my team. I want him in this city. I want him in this organization. But if that's what he's bringing back, gone. You cannot hang on to shit. Picks, players, prospects, assets, get them. Make changes. This team needs an overhaul. Not tinkering, overhaul. I'm not talking about changing the colors of the paint on the wall. I'm talking about tearing down some of the walls. Wholesale changes needs to happen now. Let's go to the next caller here on the line. Zach G. Zach, what's up, buddy?
Man, I don't, you pretty much touched on everything I was going to say. So I don't know, man. Like, do you think that Tree Living is going to be the guy to make these trades, or are they going to have to fire him and fire Berube and start from scratch with somebody else? Because like they haven't made any moves now, and I don't know what moves they're going to be making by this deadline that are going to make any impact. Like McMahon's value is just probably tanking now, and I don't see any promise with Tree Living making these moves. I don't know.
I don't think he can be or should be the guy. Honestly, I don't. Do I think he's going to be the guy that's doing it at the trade deadline? Yes, I do. I think that we've unfortunately regressed back here into dark days of MLSE and Toronto Maple Leafs hockey. I don't know what next year holds. I don't know if they bring in new guys or who the new guys would be that they bring in. If it's a GM, a president, coach, I don't know. But right now, short term, I get this pit in my stomach, Zach, that MLSE is going to hold on to any and every penny that they possibly fucking can to get through the end of this season. Firing Brad Tree Living means you pay him to not work for you. Firing Craig Berube means you pay him to not work for you. You think MLSE right now wants to be paying guys to not work for them? Right now, it seems like by all accounts, all they give a fuck about is money. They put a Mitch Marner autographed jersey on sale in the lower concourse in his return game. of all games that should be embraced as some rivalry type night. Some night filled with hate and vitriol. Because that is what real Leafs fans felt in that game. Even if not hate and vitriol, at bare minimum, let's beat this fucking guy. Nobody wants former players that return to their city to win, and yet they've got his autographed jersey on the fucking lower bowl concourse during the game, being sold. Every penny matters to these fucking guys right now. Every penny matters. That is the biggest example of it of all time. We are 1 week away. Less than 1 week, Zach. It's Friday is the trade deadline. We're an hour and a half away from Sunday. We're about 5 days from the trade deadline. I don't see a situation here where Brad Treliving is not the GM running the trade deadline. That gives me the heebie-jeebies to begin with. I don't know if they change him in the summer, but I just can't look at this and the approach and the comments and the lack of cohesion between fucking president to GM to coach to players and look at this and see that and say, yeah, I trust this next year. What about this gives you faith for next season? Like, to me, it's none. I got none. Keith Pelly blames it on injuries. Brad Treliving says they're not playing well enough, and he understands that at the beginning of the season they were outperforming how they were playing, even when they were playing poorly. Then he says the answer's in the room. Then he says fucking Derek Lalonde's going to run the power play. Then Craig Berube says everybody's running the power play, not Lalonde. Then Matthew Nyes says he doesn't look at the standings. From one to the next, to the next, to the next. It does not feel like a cohesive unit. That in itself is a problem, let alone the decisions being made. This needs an overhaul, Zach. A full overhaul, but I don't see how it's anybody other than Brad on Friday.
Yeah, and the problem with him is like he's waited so long that I think the best thing we're going to see for McMahon is maybe a second or third rounder. And like, I don't know, if you're going to sell off all these guys for picks and whatever, then you got to start bringing in these kids and let them play. Like, let Cowan play. Why is he being scratched? Like, bring up some of the guys from the Marlies, let them play for the rest of the year. We know this year is a write-off. Like, at this point, I just think it's kind of questionable that Berube is still behind the bench with some of the bonehead moves that he makes with his lineups. I don't know why Cowan wasn't playing in the AHL during the break, and if he's not going to play now, he could have still been playing there now. Like, it's bizarre.
Yep. Look, man, one of the things that I don't get, and I said it earlier when I said this the first time, and they fired Mark Savard instead. I was not necessarily just demanding that Berube loses his job for the sake of Berube losing his job. I think he's a good motivator. I think that he lacks I think he lacks an ability to run a bench, or maybe he's not the biggest systems guy, but you know, when you look at how coaches work, it doesn't always have to come from the head coach. Sometimes it can be him being the bench boss and the voice and the leader and bringing in strong pieces around, whether that's your forward coaches, your power play coaches, your defensive coaches, goalie coaches, and having them be the ones to run everything. That's all fine and dandy. I got no problem with that if the coach is going to be the guy to lead you into battle. But it became very evident early on that he was making mistakes that the assistant coaches you had in place were not capable of making up for. You saw them tune him out, and yet they just invoked this vote of confidence on Craig Berube. They looked at him and said, no, he's our guy. He's not going anywhere. And I looked at that and said, I don't get it. Because it's hard to make in-season trades early on that are going to make an impact. I think you had to look for them and try. I think you probably had to do more of it in the summer than ever, but you didn't. So now you got to look for it in the season. Well, you're not going to do that, so you know what the obvious answer is next? The coach. It's the easy axe to fall. And I'm sorry, but I didn't want to give the players the out of it being the coach because you could see some of the effort and the character and that stuff not being there. But sometimes they tune a guy out. And it's not like Toronto has gone through a billion coaches. And we're still sitting here after coach 15 being like, what the hell is going on? The Edmonton Oilers have gone through significantly more. And they went to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. I know they didn't win, but they went there. Much further than the Maple Leafs have ever been. They won more playoff series in 1 year, just last year alone, than the Maple Leafs have won in the last 10 years.
Yeah, it's painful, man. Like I do fear that we're heading into the dark days again, like back when Castle was there and Enough and all those guys. And I don't know what, like, we don't even know what the direction of the team is. Like, we have no clue if there's who they're selling or what they're trying to do. Like, there's no direction from up top, and we have no clue as fans what's happening. It's kind of bizarre that the team went from that little run in December there and it's totally fall flat when they come back from this break. We thought like guys like Tavares and Nyes would have been firing on all cylinders when they came back, but
this hasn't been the case.
It's not the case. And, I mean, like at the end of the day, man, you lose like Tanev and it's like the end of the decor. That's a problem. Like you need to build the defense up again and for the first time, I guess, and get an actual number one team in. That might be a giant trade. Like, you might have to have Nyes in a trade package or something like that. As much as I'd rather hold on to Nyes, I just don't know what they're going to do with, like, Matthews and Nylander with their no move clause. Like, then, obviously, Morgan's just going to be a problem to get out of town unless he agrees to it. So, it's just, I don't know, man. I'm kind of at a loss at this point. I kind of can't watch the team anymore. They're just starting to get painful to watch, and it's just really frustrating at this point. It just seems like they don't seem to care. They're giving up. They quit, and it's like they're too far gone to like totally like tank to the bottom. But maybe they keep losing, and maybe they get to their top 5 pick back. But I don't know, man. It's tough to watch. It's tough to watch.
At this point, I'm looking at this and it's like, I'm looking at the Tankathon, which will run later in the show, and the Maple Leafs have the 8th best odds of getting the first overall pick. Like, I am now starting to feel the sickness for a different reason. Like, this team is now close enough to smell the top 5 pick, and it's like they're too stupid that it feels like they're going to ruin that. Which, again, is the dark ages of the Maple Leafs. Like, if you're going to sit there and you're going to finish anywhere from 6 to 10 and Boston's going to hold your pick, that's a colossal failure. Colossal failure.
Yeah, it's just a major blunder by True Living with these trades. His first overall picks for like literally nothing.
Not just Tree Living though. I'll give him that excuse or that out. Yeah.
But I mean, sucks that he practiced here to learn how to be a GM elsewhere.
Yeah.
Now we're just looking at him making pretty solid moves here. But
yeah.
I don't know, man. I honestly don't know what to say anymore. I just hope that next year is actually like doable to make the playoffs, but I honestly don't think so if they keep the team anywhere close to what it is now. Like, got to get rid of guys, man. You got to get rid of Odell. Got to get rid of Vaughn. You got to get rid of McMahon. Everybody that can go, they got to get rid of them. They can't.
If it looks like this, if it looks like this at all next season, you're 100% right. I don't know how playoffs are even in the picture. If your decor is more than 50% the same or even 50% the same, which I know it's hard to do and change it up, but if it is, you're fucked. Like, if you're bringing back the old guys again, if OEL isn't traded here for picks and prospects, if Morgan Riley's still on this team, if you're still rolling out the Benoits and Myers of the world, you're fucked. you might as well be looking to go out next year and get Alexi Joseph and Landon Dupont.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see, like, if they're gonna, they gotta back the Brinks truck up and get Peter DeBoer in Toronto like now. Need somebody to come in and change this, change the culture, change the team. But
Yeah.
I just don't
Look,
see
man,
it happening.
Fantasyland situation to me would be in the summer Doug Armstrong and Pete DeBoer.
100%.
And I know that's like old boys hockey club or whatever still maybe, but
at least they're proven, right? Like they know what they're doing. And like it's not like Berube is like, oh, he's won a cup. Yeah, they won one cup in a very, very magical season that you're not gonna see again. And it's not gonna happen with this team.
Yeah. Even honestly, I might even look at a guy like Jay McKee I'm wearing the Bulldogs hat. A guy like Jay McKee is going to be a guy who's going to be in the NHL soon. Maybe it's time to look at a guy who's got a new, fresh perspective, a younger guy, and just approach this differently and just come at it with a different attack. But I don't know. It needs to change, man. Anything else for me here tonight, Zach?
The only question I had about like the goalie situation, because we have good goaltending, obviously. Like it's not their fault that they're not trying at all in front of them. They have no defense. Do you think that Hildeby is somebody they have to move? Because I don't think Stolars will fetch much, and I don't know if you want to trade Wall.
Well, no, I would rather keep Hildeby. Like if you're looking at the future of this team, you want to be younger, not older, and older would be Wall and Stolars. Like if you're looking at this, it's got to be one of those two guys, and preferably it would be Anthony Stolars who's moved, and you keep Joseph Wall and Dennis Hildeby, and those are the guys that you're going to build around. And I'm not saying that those are the guys that help you win the Stanley Cup this year, but Dennis Hildeby, who continues to grow and be a guy who can develop into his own and mature, and you look at Akhtiamov, and you've got him coming up and through. You want those pieces now for at least 5 to 6 years from now, because then they'll be 27, 28, 29 in the peaks of a goaltending career. They can be the guys that are here backstopping you when you've brought in these young guys, and hopefully you fucking go and get a top 5 pick this season and bring in your Verhoffs or McKenna or whoever the hell it is. But you bring in those guys and you build them around that. But otherwise, like, I don't know how you could look at this and reasonably say that Stolars would be a guy over a Hildeby or a Wall. Like, and you're also reaching a point here where you're going to have to make a decision, because Dennis Hildeby next season is going to be ready to push through to the NHL. Now what? Like, I get having Stolars and Wall here for this year. You want that push, and you want these guys to be your goaltenders for this season. You don't want to rely on Hildeby to be the guy. But now it's time to change. Now it's time to overhaul this. And if he's a guy who's got to go, again, like the player, I like him as a person, I like him as a goaltender, but if he's going to get you anything, it's time to pull the plug.
Yeah, I agree, man. Hopefully, Tank Nation, man. Tank Nation.
Tank Nation. All right, Zach, thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Great name, buddy. Great name.
Zach.
Take a deep breath, buddy. Take a deep breath. It's all good.
I'll try. Otherwise, I'm going to pass away. I'm an hour into this one, and I feel like it's going to go forever tonight. But I might have to breathe at some point. Might have to get up and walk around and get a water and then come sit back down again. But thanks for the call, Zach.
No worries, buddy. See ya.
There you go. Zach G on the line. Appreciate the call from Zach. Let's get to our more callers in a minute. We did have more super chats that have come in here over the last little while. 700 plus people watching here tonight. Continue to hit that like button. Subscribe here to the channel. Leafs Nation 401 right here on YouTube. Don't go anywhere. We will be here all season long, breaking it down every game. We'll be here for the trade deadline. The boys on Leafs Morning Take will be teeing everything up Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern time, all week leading into the trade deadline and to close out this season. So don't go anywhere. Super chats that have come in. Maxentius Desimus, Morgan Riley, 30 minutes a night. Tank, baby, tank. Yeah. You wanted this thing to fall off a cliff, and you want it to fall off a cliff fast. Playing that guy 20-plus minutes a night might be a fast track to doing so. He plays 21 here tonight, so it was limited a little bit, and you saw some more minutes go to some other guys. Jake McCabe and OEL got some spread out more. Simone Benoit, Troy Stetterall got some more in this one, but yeah, it's time. It's time. Tank Nation. You have reached a point of no return. Tristan here says, change has to start from the top. Can't let the guy who put us in this position try to fix this. MLSE is too lost to acknowledge Brad isn't the guy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're too lost or too tight on their fucking wallets to be interested in paying a guy to not work for them. And then I think, to me, that's the bigger concern. Jordan Saylor here says, not a Leafs fan, but this is for the sick kids. Loved your passion, Jordan. Thank you. Appreciate it. And yeah, send in those super chats. Proceeds from our super chats go to Sick Kids Charity. Continue to get those super chats in here on the post-game show tonight. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to hear what you guys think about the season, the team, all of that, and more. So continue to like, comment, and subscribe, all of that stuff here on tonight's post-game show. You get those super chats in. They go to Sick Kids Charity. All right, next caller here. Let's go to Jordan. I don't know if this is the Jordan who just sent the super chat, but let's welcome Jordan to the program.
Hello, Zach. How are you, sir?
Hey, Jordan. I am pissed off, to be quite frank with you.
See, I actually look at this very different than you. I actually think this is a good thing because I think this is going to make them do a complete reset, bring in a new coach, GM, get rid of some players. Because I think if they make the playoffs again and then lose, they'll just keep the same process they've been doing. So I actually think this is a good thing for the team.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair assessment, in terms of like this will force their hand. I still worry, though, that they won't go as deep as they need to go because they want to be competitive next season. And as I want them to be competitive next season as well, Jordan, it worries me that they'll just look at like your Domies and those kinds of guys and be like, well, we can keep him here for next year. And, we believed in this guy when we brought him in, so we'll keep him around. Like, even the rumor of the extension that was on the table for Bobby McMahon, like, if that's just to drive up his value, sure, but I don't trust the organization that was the case.
Jordan. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think they should be paying Bobby McMahon $5 million, which is obviously the reported number. Mm-hmm. So trading him at the deadline makes sense. I would probably trade Stolarz in net, go with the younger two goalies. I think Edmonton was the perfect trade partner for Stolarz. Mm-hmm. So maybe, they're a desperate team that needs a goalie. So maybe we could get, maybe even a first-round pick for Stolarz, which would be great.
Yeah, I don't know about a first-round pick, but I do think that, you got to start to look around at teams that would need goaltenders. I think Utah is probably one of the teams that would like to add a guy to their mix. I could see Edmonton being a team that all of a sudden kind of sits there and panics a little bit, doesn't love the trade that they had with Tristan Jarry. You saw the comments from Leon Draisaitl again today and over the last little while, and they keep talking about, well, we can't keep winning games or having to win games 5 or 6 goals so that we can win 5-4 or 6-5 every night because that's how many goals they're giving up. And a lot of it is pathetic in net. Yeah, sure. Stolarz going there. I don't think he's a guy who fetches a first round pick at all, but package him in with an OEL or package him in with a Bobby McMahon and maybe all of a sudden you can swing some big deal. Maybe now you're looking at, your OG hockey trades where you've got like some deal with like Calgary or something back in the day and Dougie Gilmour and it's a 7-man trade or whatever that trade was. Like, I think looking at it like that, maybe that's the way, but I think we lost Jordan here. I think he disconnected. So if he comes back, I'm happy to get him back on, but I think we might have lost him. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think you look at this and I think you look at Oh, Jordan says all from him, so he jumped out. But I think you look at this and you got to start looking at every single person in this lineup and realizing who the fuck you have, what they can bring back, and start to try to do that this year. Like, I don't give a shit about icing a hockey team this season, really. Like, it's got to be about building yourself younger and ready for the future. Look at what Boston did. Keep Pasternak, keep McAvoy. Those are your big pieces. Brad Marchand, gone. Patrice Bergeron obviously retired, but they move on from Brandon Carlo. You move on from Charlie Coyle. You bring back hauls on each of those guys, whether it's picks or it's young guys or guys just coming through, or if it's guys stuck in the AHL right now. You identify the players, you bring them in, and you get ready to be younger, faster, and more skilled going into next season. I'm happy to play a heavier, more physical game. I think that's something they've lost for they've been missing, and one of the big pieces of why they've lost come the playoffs. They've gotten bullied a lot. You needed to get more physical. You needed to get heavier, but you lost a lot of skill here in this. You became older, you became slower, and you lost skill. Losing some skill is fine. Losing a ton and also being older and slower, not the best. Not the best. Let's go now to Andy on the line. Andy, welcome to the show.
Hey.
What's up, Andy?
Not much. I'm not going to ask you how you're doing because I already know.
Fair enough. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate skipping the formality. Yeah.
Yeah, I made the mistake of tuning in tonight. I was like, I'll watch it. It's Saturday. It's against Ottawa. Holy shit, what a mistake that was.
Look, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I love my job. I will never, ever complain about what my job is. I watch hockey and I get to talk about hockey, whether it's here, if it's on the morning show, if it's with Jeff Merrick. I have the best job in the entire world, in my opinion. But tonight was one of those nights. I turned on the game. I sat there and watched, and it was like 10 minutes in. I was like, I want to turn this off. I can't believe I'm going to have to watch this. And I was just like, this fucking sucks. You know, like, I'm not that my job sucks. Again, I love my job. I'm not complaining. But watching this team tonight was just one of those moments where it was like, this fucking sucks, Andy.
Yeah.
And you know, like, I'm okay with the team losing. I'm okay with the team taking a step back. But doing it this way was embarrassing. And I felt sad and embarrassed and annoyed and frustrated the entire night. As 6 1/3 says, it was unwatchable. It was unwatchable hockey.
Well, and it's funny too, because after the last game, desperation, we need more desperation. Okay, where the fuck was it then? You had none. You had zero. Even though you've been talking about it forever and ever, desperation, and then you come out and you shit the bed like that. So it just doesn't make, like, they definitely know what to say, that's for sure, but they sure as hell don't know how to back it up.
Wednesday, Matthew Nye said that they needed more desperation. They thought that they had it, and it just didn't show. That's what he said against Tampa.
Yep.
I'm not saying this to rip on Nyes, but that was the comment he made, Andy. He said they had the desperation. It just didn't show. And then he said, we'll show it, tomorrow night against Florida. And somehow it was worse. And then they said the desperation, the pride, it wasn't there. The sense of urgency, it wasn't there. We'll have to bring it next game. And then somehow it was worse tonight. How did it get worse?
Oh, I'll tell you, like, the first period, this is kind of the Leafs in this season. First period, you have 2 shots. You need more shots on net. They finally get it in the auto zone. People are, they're rushing to the net. And what does Nylander try and do? Tries to fucking stick handle through all the defensemen, lose the puck, and then it's out.
Yep.
That as soon as that happened, I was like, well, we're not winning this game today, because that was just ridiculous. I mean, good for him, he scored later, but at that point, it was pretty much done deal.
It was hero ball hockey. It was hero ball hockey, and I think that's one of the things that we've kind of had an issue with this team before. There wasn't enough depth, and I guess at times the big guys probably said we have to do this ourselves, and they just or everybody thought the big boys would do it themselves, I should put it, and they didn't come through, they didn't get it done, they couldn't do it. And then you just watch this. I mean, again, like, I talked about it from management down, whether it was Pelly or if it was True Living or if it was Berube or it's the players. Everyone has a different message. Everyone says something different every game. Berube one game will come out and say that it was a pathetic performance, and then the players will come out and say, I thought we gave it our all tonight. What? How? How are you, even if you are right, how are you so far opposed on these instances where one guy says 2 + 2 = 4 and the other guy says 2 + 2 = 8 and you're like, what the fuck? Like, how is this the case? You walk outside and said it was freezing cold today, and my buddy walks outside and says, God damn, it was hot out there. I'm like, what? Which one was it? How are we on the opposite side of this conversation? And that's what it feels like every fucking night right now. Yeah. And then you watch these guys and with the play that they have, even beyond the messaging and the comments post-game and pre-game, it's the same thing, Andy. It's the same thing. I look at it and it's like, here's a team that looks like the goal is, tight to the middle, keep guys to the outside, zone defense, block shots, and then you watch like two guys on the team go out there and start playing man-to-man. And you're like, wait a minute. Like, we just changed in the middle of this? Do we not understand? Do we know? Are we not smart enough? Do we not recognize? Is the messaging off? Then the breakout, it's like, okay, the centerman's supposed to support low. Weak side winger's supposed to come across and support high. That's the way that this is going to break out. And 3 guys on the ice think it works that way. And 2 guys on the ice think this is a spread the zone and fly offense. Everything with these guys is disconnected. This is a poorly constructed group with zero cohesion.
Well, and you do you go back to like trade, like, GM, whatever management, they're like, oh, we're just gonna wait and see. We're gonna wait and see. And it just reminds me of the Seinfeld episode, the very first one, where Jerry's asking about this girl, and George is like, it's signals, Jerry, it's signals. Look at the signals. I'm like, that's exactly what the management needs to do, is look at the signals and how this is not fucking working.
Yeah. 100%. And it needs to be recognized by everybody. It needs to be recognized by the board at MLSE. It needs to be recognized by the GM, by the coach, like everybody in this thing that's involved in this that has even a fucking finger in the pot needs to recognize what's happening and get on the same page fast, because it's embarrassing.
Yeah, like, one last thing I'll say is I coach a U16 volleyball team where I live. And the other day I had to have a chat with them about, I shouldn't care more than them, and it feels like I do. And, the amount of effort I put into, running this team, and it'd be nice if they'd kind of give me the same effort back. And it feels like I need to go in this locker room with these $10 million a year fucking players and tell them the same damn thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
like this is, I think, one of the biggest disconnects that we've experienced in the 10 years of the Marner, Matthews, Nylander era, is the disconnect from the fan base. Again, to tie it to comments more than anything, because I think sometimes those can be very, very telling. I talked about it on Thursday, and I'm not trying to say this to single the guy out here in this instance, but he was the one who said it more than anybody else, I think. It would be the disconnect that would drive fans up a wall. Well, like, Marner would come out after a Game 7 loss where they put forth an embarrassing effort, and he'd be like, we played really well. The bounces didn't go our way.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you played like shit. You played like shit. You stunk. You were awful. You didn't show up. You didn't play well. You didn't compete. You didn't battle. It wasn't there. And this fan base, look at the players they idolize, Andy. Wendell Clark, Doug Gilmour, Boreas Salming, Ty Domi, Darcy Tucker, Brian McCabe. Like, these are guys who never won shit, but they're idolized here because they played with their nuts on the line every single night. That's just to name a few. Those guys didn't win. They weren't the best players in the world, but they gave it everything. And that fan base carries on. It's being passed down. I don't know how old you are, and it's everybody knows I'm pretty young here, and I'm way more fresh to a lot of this stuff. But, like, my dad watched that stuff and fell in love with that and cheered for that. And he wants that when he watches the game. And that's passed down to me. And I know it's passed down to my buddies from their dads and their uncles and their grandparents, because everybody wants to at least, bare minimum, watch a team who's going to go balls to the wall every night. We can talk about puck possession and style of play and all that kind of stuff and coaches and depth and all that. We can talk about that till the wheels fall off. And I get it. And I'm okay with talking about that because it's all valid. But it still comes back to the main point that has carried over and was so evident tonight, Andy. It was so evident, and it makes me so mad tonight. It's just how pathetic it was. Like, there was no heart in this. Yes, they had some scrums and they had the line brawl. But again, I said it off the top. Who were the guys involved in that? Yes, it's the culprits you're going to imagine are going to be involved. You know, you look out there, there's Joshua, there's Domi, there's Lawton. Okay, they're involved in it again. There's Carlo, there's Benoit. Carlo, obviously not the most likely to jump in there, but they're involved. And it's like, I look at this and I just feel like the disconnect of understanding what they should be and what they're supposed to be and the style of play and the compete, it's always been there from the Leafs to the fans. And now we're experiencing it here again, and it's from the Leafs to the coach to the GM to the president to the fans. It's just gotten more mucky all the way along.
Yeah, I hope they figure it out, but I agree with you that I just don't trust Trey Living at this point to do the right things or make the right moves. So I am also concerned for the trade deadline where it's like, oh, we're not going to make a hockey trade, just make a hockey trade. Well, really at this point, you might just want to do something to shake something up because again, it's not working. But
yeah. I don't know. And, you know, Zach just asked, the last caller, Zach just asked, you know, is it Tree Living who you think's going to be here? Or are they going to get rid of him? You're 5 days away now, man. Or you're just over 5 days away here now from the trade deadline. Tree Living's not going anywhere. He's going to be the guy to run it. Does he leave in the summer? Is he out of here in the summer? I don't know. I would like to say yes and that they overhaul this thing, but, you know, that's my heart speaking. My brain says no. Because I don't think that MLSE wants to pay a guy not to work here. I don't think that MLSE wants to pay Berube not to work here or to pay Tree Living not to work here. I don't think they do.
No, I agree with you. So that's why I'm also a little concerned about what's going to happen in the next few months here. So it's good stuff.
Yeah. Anything else, Andy?
No, that's it for me.
All right, buddy. Thank you for the call. This was a great one. Bet. I enjoyed this, and I'm happy to have you call back in anytime.
Yeah, will do.
Thanks, Andy. Enjoy the rest of your night if you can.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks. All right, there you go. Andy, appreciate the call from Andy there. Again, continue to hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel. Reminder to anybody who's watching right now, if you haven't already, I'm sorry to keep doing this, but I'm going to keep doing this. Hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel, Leafs Nation 401 right here on YouTube. You don't want to miss anything as we approach the trade deadline. I've said it numerous times, but 5 days away now from that Friday trade deadline. We've got a few Maple Leafs games left until that trade deadline. I think it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I believe, are the games that we're going to play over the next week. So maybe by Saturday's game, we see a different group coming out on Saturday night's game. But we'll determine that. We'll see where we're at over the next week or so as we lead up to this. But I see people in the chat asking for Rosie. Rosie's not going to be able to call in here tonight. He did just say he's busy on this one, so he's not going to be able to jump in on the post game, but we'll see. If anybody else wants to call in, click that link in the chat. We do have some more callers here waiting, but I want this thing to build up. I want to continue to hear what Leafs fans have to say, and I want to get more likes here on the show. Only 150 here so far, so let's jack those numbers up. 700 right now. Let's get this thing to 200, 250, 300. There's no reason that we can't by the end of the show. So let's go to the next caller. It says Zoom user, so I'm going to guess Mark from Oshawa.
Hello? How are you, Zach?
What's up?
Not much. My wife was just laughing. She's sitting here with me when you said that. I'm guessing it's Mark from Oshawa.
It had to be. It could only be Mark from Oshawa.
I don't know why it doesn't show the name. But anyway, before I forget, because I was listening to you guys talk, and the wife was trying to remind me, the player from St. Louis, was it Thomas?
Yeah.
I would be willing to trade Matthew Nice for him straight up. Like, I don't know the aspects behind all that, but I think that guy's still got term, does he not? Thomas?
Yes, he has 5 years left on his deal.
But it's a cheap deal, though, is it not?
He's like 8.25, I think.
Oh, I didn't know it was that high. I thought it was like 5.
That's still a good deal.
It is for us because we want to get younger, not older, right?
Yep. Obviously, going from Nyes to him would be getting older, but yes, I mean, it would be a second line center. The problem then is you still need to build yourself out a top 6, and moving on from Matthew Nyes, you would end up still now looking for wingers, because right now you're looking at having, 2 top 6 wingers between Nylander and Nyes, and 1 top line 6 center with Austin Matthews, but you're going to get yourself Robert Thomas in there. He becomes a 2C. Now you need more top 6 wingers. So you got to go find guys.
Well,
that's the only problem.
You have to give up somebody good. So I was thinking you're either going to have to give up Nyes or you're going to have to give up probably McCowan to get Thomas.
Yeah, Cowan. Right? Yeah, Cowan. Yeah, probably. I don't know. Like, I think it's a huge deal. I saw a report tonight from Friedman. He said he thinks it's going to be a huge return, a Quinn Hughes type of deal. And I just don't think you have those. I don't know that you have those kinds of assets. I really don't. Your comparisons would be
Ben Dan
or your guys that you're looking for. But I don't think they even match that. You had Marco Rossi, Zeev Boyam, and then I think there was another pick in that, or another player in that as well, and then picks. Like, you don't have those. And that's what scares me. Is like, I thought it would be a little bit cheaper, but to hear it would be a Quinn Hughes type of deal, I just don't know that that's in your arsenal right now. That would be why you have to fucking trade guys and get picks back.
The other thing I was saying was, I heard you were talking about the coach. I know everybody wants Berube fired, but like just to my point alone, we had Mike Babcock. The players played a certain way. You fired him. You bring in Sheldon Keefe. They played a certain way. Then you bring in Berube. At the end of the day, is it really going to matter? Like, even if you brought in DeBoer next year, for example, I know he said he wouldn't come here, but if you brought him, how is that going to change anything? The players are going to do, in my mind, the players are going to do what they want to do. If the coaches install a system and the players just don't want to do it, then they're just going to fire that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you in the big picture. In the short term, though, I think Berube's got to go. Like, that's the least inspired hockey that I've watched all season long. And that's the least inspired hockey I've watched in 10 years, Mark. And I think so much of this comes with these guys tuning out Berube here now and quitting on him. Like, I don't know how you could watch a game like that tonight and it not have to do with the players quitting on the coach and saying like, yeah, we're still willing to fight for this guy. Like, that felt like they were trying to get Berube fired by the end of the first fucking period. That felt like they were trying to get Brad Treliving behind the bench or Newsy Lalonde to have to be the head coach by the end of the first period. I half expected them to come out with Craig on the bench. And then a PR statement, Craig Berube will not return to the bench tonight. Whether it was because his brain exploded or because Brad Treliving fired him in between periods, I don't know. But I don't know. That felt full on like a team that quit on the coach. I'm not saying bringing in a new guy fixes this, especially this season. Like, this season is lost. But that felt like, that was a quit. And I don't know how you keep the guy here.
Honestly, I shut the game. The wife was telling me to tell you. I shut the game off after 2-1 Ottawa. And then when I got a notification on my phone, it was 5-2 at the end of the second. So I put it on for the third. So I missed the whole second period.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. If I could have, I would have fucking shut it off. I mean, I probably could have, and it would have been the same thing based on what happened in the second. It was a full-on shit pumping by the Ottawa Senators tonight.
Yeah, there's honestly, like, I'll still watch till the end of the year, but there's, and even if they won this game, I wouldn't have been excited because there's nothing to get excited for now. Like, there's, the wife said Marner's gone, but, no, I think it has to do with, like, maybe not Pelly, but somebody up in that department is why the team isn't getting anywhere, like, over the last 30, 40 years in general. Like, it can't be all Pelly's fault. You know what I mean? Like, they haven't won since 67.
No, it's not all his fault. I agree, but it feels like we've gone backwards. Like,
Yes.
I don't know. This feels like a backwards movement here in the last little while. We disagreed with the moves that were made from the previous regime. I had a lot of problems with moves that were made during the entire tenure and the construction of the group. Not necessarily like the idea of making trades. I was on board with going in and trying to get guys at deadlines because I thought that the group you had was good enough that you had to add to it and continue to try. But, you look at how much was given up in a lot of circumstances. There were bad moves. There were bad deals that were made. And it left the cupboards empty. You never were able to find picks and prospects or replenish the cupboards. And now here you are, and Brad Treliving and Keith Pelly are the faces of it. I think they accelerated this, but I think they're just the ones who are going to have to wear this for what has happened over the last little while. But that's the on ice decisions. I'm looking at this even in terms of just overall organizational stuff right now, Mark. This feels like dark days again. This feels like greedy penny pinching from the top. Here with MLSE, and then it goes to the coaching and the GM decisions, and then it goes to, their inability to let go and how they continue to, or they seem to be continuing to hang on to the season, even into this game tonight. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'll just leave one last thing there. I really do think that more, like, I was in agreement to a retool, but the way they've played coming out of the break and having all that rest, I almost think they're almost forced to do a rebuild, even though people don't want to hear that with Matthews and Nylander. But I think you're going to have to do a rebuild to a point.
Yeah, that would involve moving on from Matthews and Nylander, as he kind of brought up their names there. Like, if that's the case, then...
Well, can you not do a rebuild without moving those two pieces?
But what is it? What is a rebuild then, Mark? Like, a rebuild would be tanking this thing out. Maybe that's just this season, and then you accelerate it into next year. But again, like, you have to tank this year out, and it worries me that if you have Matthews and Nylander playing nightly, you're still going to just be too good to finish bottom 5 in a comfortable spot where you're not worried about Boston taking your pick and finishing 6th.
Yeah, I think I can hear Prague in the background, but I was going to say, if you kind of benched Matthews and Nylander and some of your top guys, so to speak, you might be able to finish below top 5. Like, it's nice to see McCowan play tonight. I mean, that kid should have been playing a month ago. But I know Berube wasn't playing them, but you're never going to know what these guys are capable of if you don't play them enough. And I feel like it was discouraging to McCowan. I mean, he did work hard in the minors.
Cowan.
Sorry, McCowan. Sorry, my mistake.
Cowan.
Yeah, my mistake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all I was going to say, but yeah.
Yeah.
I can still hear Prague talking in the background, so it's kind of hard to talk to, but yeah.
Prague, mute that shit, brother. Anything else from you here tonight, Mark?
No, that's good, buddy. I just wanted to get through while the wife was still close to me, but she disappeared already, so.
Fair enough.
Oh, my God,
thanks.
Prague. Fuck. He's having a conversation with somebody else. But yeah. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. There you go.
Bye.
Mark from Oshawa on the line. More calls to get to here tonight. Let's be clear here as well. I see people in the chat talking about Marner and how him leaving ruined this team and all that stuff. Marner leaving did not ruin the team. Not bringing in pieces to replace Marner, like legitimate top 6 pieces to replace Marner, is what ruined this team. It was a combination of Marner and Brad Treliving that ruined this team. Not Marner leaving. You could not run it back again with the same guys. He had to go. But he had to go and bring something back. He had to go and bring back high-end talent. He had to go and bring back something that was a difference maker in your top 6. And he didn't. Brad Treliving did not get that back. Shanahan, Dubas, they refused. questionable decision making. Let's go now to Dale on the line. Dale, what's up? Welcome back.
What's up, brother? Listen, Zach, do you want to do me a favor here quickly and like come back to me? Because like the last caller just said, all I can hear is Prague talking in the background here.
Prague, fuck! Mute yourself, fuck! Yeah,
do you want to do you want to just go to him first and come back to me?
Sure, I'll do that.
Because it's gonna distract me huge. All I can hear is him.
Okay, yes, let's do that. All right. Thanks, Dale.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'll be back. All right, let's go.
It's 2 years.
Prague!
You make a killing.
Prague!
I think there's very few,
Prague! God damn it, Prague! All right, let's see if I can... Can I kick this guy out of here? Jesus. Fuck! We're trying to get people on here, and this guy's just yapping away. He's in the chat, for God's sakes. Someone tell Prague to shut the hell up right now. Prague!
Pediatrics or...
All right, I can't. I don't know how to kick this guy. This is a nightmare. These guys just yapping away in there. Unbelievable. The etiquette right now from Prague. Dale, Paul, I'm going to get to you guys in a minute. We got to sort this shit out with Prague because I tuned him in and he is fucking chatting away in the back. I don't know how to mute the guy. I'm trying to figure it out right here in real time. Anyways, I'm sorry. I know this is not the most professional, but God damn it, Prague. He's just sitting there just doing nothing on the phone. I got to figure out how I can fucking boot him from this thing. I can't get him out. There's got to be a way I could do this. Come on. Someone else, help me, for fuck's sakes. All right, let's see. Maybe I can kick him now. Hold on a second here. I'm working on this. Hold on. I might have figured this out. All right, 1 second. Nope, I can't do it. I can't figure out how to get this guy. Prague! Jesus. Can anybody else mute him? Hold on a second. All right, I muted him. Okay. There we go. We're good now. We're good. Okay, let's get to our next caller. Let's go back to Dale. Dale! I got it. He's gone.
Oh, holy smokes, man. Like, could you hear that on the stream or just the people waiting on Zoom could hear that?
No, only the people on Zoom can hear it. I can only hear I'm sorry, everybody who just watched, I know that was probably like the least professional thing I've done, which says a lot given what the fuck some of the shit I've done on this show. But I don't have, I can't access each individual Zoom call from within the software. I had to go into Zoom to get it to mute him. So I can only hear one person at a time that I let through. So only you guys can all hear him. I can only hear one person at a time. I apologize. That was unprofessional. I'm sorry, Dale.
I mean, no, dude. But there's a clear mute button there, right? Like when you're talking to other callers, if you're gonna have other people. Like if you're going to have other people talking, if you're going to be doing something in the background where it's going to be noisy or you're talking to other people, just Prague for future reference, hit the mute button, brother. What are you doing, man? That's insane. I don't know. Sorry, Zach. I wouldn't have been able
just on the phone.
So did you get to a point though where you got on Zoom and you could hear him talking in the background?
Yes.
Okay, I wouldn't have been able to have a conversation with you when all I could hear was him yapping in the background. I'm sorry.
No. And I completely get that.
Not your fault, man. I totally understand it. But anyway, Zach, okay, so I got a bunch to go through here tonight. I might go a little longer than I did last time, but good to talk to you again, brother. But look, I agree with everything you said off the top, but are you really surprised that that's the outcome that we got tonight? You can't be surprised by that man. Can you?
I mean, when I get over the initial shock of it, no. By the time I'm here an hour and a half in, am I surprised? No. Looking back on it, no. But sitting there watching that, it's just like, and I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Dale, but I assume you probably felt the same watching it where, you continue to think, I can't believe it. You know what I mean?
But I can believe it. I can believe it. I absolutely believe it. I didn't expect anything different than what I saw. Like, they're dead last in the Atlantic. They had 2 shots on net in the first period. After the like you said off the top, after the effort in the last 2 games against Tampa and Florida, they return home, and this is what they have. This is the best they have. I didn't expect to see anything else, dude. What did you think they were going to come out cooking here tonight?
Not that they would win or like dominate the Sens. I'm like watching that first period. I think the shots finished 16-2 after 1. And I'm like,
embarrassing.
That's it. That's pathetic. Like, it's so pathetic. Like, that is, to me, is what I just didn't get. And the other part of it that at least it made me believe or think was going to be different was like, they kept saying that they needed a better sense of urgency and, the desperation and all that stuff. And I kept like buying in that at least they would have that. And not because I thought the season would turn around, but just, I want a competitive end to this thing. Like, the mucky middle is okay to me if you embrace it and say, hey, we'll compete and we'll retool this thing, we'll get around it. But now you're just in like tank territory. You're in the 8th best odds of getting in the first overall pick.
We still might have a competitive end to it, but it won't be until after next Friday when there's 4 or 5 Marlies called up and they play their hearts out. Because I'd rather just watch a Marlies team the rest of the way than watch these guys. Like, it's insane, man. But look, the last time I was on with you after the Florida game, like I said, this isn't a retool. And it's becoming clearer and clearer every night watching these guys that this, like, is as many guys as possible need to go. Like, what are we going, like, are we going back to the Kessel Phaneuf days where, like, is that where we're heading here? It was never good enough to win, but management never was smart enough to realize that they need to bottom out and do this thing over with drastically different types of players. Like, maybe you get some new leaders in here that, I don't know, let's say aren't pussies. Let's start there.
Yeah, and I think it was you and I who talked about this on the last show when we were talking about the lack of willingness to try something and looking at the pieces, whether it be Nylander or Marner, and saying, hey, one of these guys has to go because we're just constructed too similarly. We've got to change something. It just feels like that has just continued. Like, it feels like that has continued. You watch competitive teams that fail to break through. Like, you watch the Edmonton Oilers and they get to the Stanley Cup final and they lose. That feels different. It feels easier to root for. This right now, it's not a team that you can root for. Like, the effort, the intensity, none of it is there. It doesn't feel like they have that guy who's going to step up and say something or do something or just take over and say, I'm going to will this thing to victory tonight, especially when it mattered and in the playoffs. And now it's too far gone. And, Dale, like, major things need to happen. That's the thing now with going into this summer and why I think this deadline is so important. Major things need to happen. This is an overhaul. It's not a retool. And maybe rebuild is too strong of a word if they are going to remain competitive.
Why is it too strong of a word, Zach? They're never going to win with this leadership. It's not going to happen. So why is it too strong of a, like, just to bring back like the leadership and like tinker around the edge, but come back and think that you're going to be able to compete or win next season? It's not, like, I'm sorry, like, to me, it's not realistic. You can't think that's realistic. Look at the Atlantic Division. Everybody's gotten better, and we've gotten significantly worse.
And you're
Like
right.
I'm just trying to be realistic here, dude.
No, I get it. I have no problem with anything you're saying. Like, I have a hard time arguing against it. I guess there's part of me that still looks at the players that you have and think, we would die for these types of players, and we're so desperate for them so long ago that, like, the idea of getting these kinds of guys back is going to be so hard to do. Leadership aside, because I'm not trying to discount your point in that, but just the quality of player that we have, it's so hard to get back. That it's like concerning for how long it could take, or if you even find those guys. And it's like it's part of me is almost just embarrassed at how the last 9 years have gone and how far away they were with the guys that we have. But man, I don't know, like, yeah, like you're getting to that point. Like
they were far away. Like, okay, Florida, they couldn't beat Florida the last couple seasons in the playoffs. Like, they were, I guess, close, if you want to say that. Like, if they would have got past Florida, who knows what would have happened, but they didn't. And then Marner leaves, and anybody who thinks like this Marner thing, like, it's not on the well, okay, I think there is partial blame on the organization. They could have dealt Marner before his no trade kicked in and whatever, but he just, like, let's just be clear here. He decided to leave the Toronto Maple Leafs. Brad Treliving had a nice, fresh contract on the table for Mitch, and Mitch said, no thanks, I'm going to fucking Vegas, right? So whatever. Like, I'm not going down the Marner road here. I'm just, anybody that thinks like, like there was any unfair thing here or whatever, like, he chose to leave. Mitch chose to not want to be a Toronto Maple Leaf anymore. Whatever. I don't think it makes any difference personally if he's currently here or not. I don't think it makes much of a difference. If, like, I think they're still in the same position. But let me go here quickly. Maybe if they would have fired Berube around Christmas time, when we all knew where this was trending, maybe they might have had a chance to do something. Like, does he make it to the end of the season, or do they can him and let one of the assistants run the bench for the rest of the season? What do you think?
I think there's a chance that they let him go.
Sorry, Zach, quickly, like, too little, too late, regardless. But just what do you think about that?
No, I'm with you. Like, I think he's got to go. I think part of it is like a mercy firing on him, and I think part of it is also, I think part of it is also just he's not the right guy going forward for this group. Like, when you go through something, like, even his approach to the game, his choice of assistant, any of that, like, take that aside. Just look at the surface level of him being a part of this.
They won't play for. They refuse to play for the guy. Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Like, even take all of that aside, and whether or not he should be the coach and he's good enough to be the coach, take it aside. Like, to what you're saying, like, just them looking at this and having him still here, even like, you can't get rid of everybody. Like, you're just not going to. That's impossible to do. So you're going to have guys here. They're going to all be realistic in terms of what they just saw last season, and they're all going to know and still not like him and not want to play for the guy. Like, how can you bring that guy back? How can you keep that guy? I think he's got to go now. And it's too little too late to save the season, but you can still save face on the franchise, and you can still put yourself in a better position going forward, whether it's for free agents, if it's for recruiting young guys, whatever. You can put yourself in a better spot because, I mean, like, again, to the point, Dale, like, go now and try to pitch some college free agent to come here. Oh, yeah, buddy, we'll give you an opportunity to come play for the Maple Leafs. And he's going to go, yeah, you did real well giving Jacob Quillen an opportunity. You did real well giving Alex Steves an opportunity. Why would they want to come here? Like, he's got to go. He's got to go now.
Yeah, I don't disagree, man. Like, you let Lalonde run the bench, or you let Sullivan run it for the rest of the year. Like, that's what I probably would do, because it's inevitable anyway. Like, or if they let Berube play it out he's getting canned anyway. So like, I mean, whatever. Like
Should be.
I'm not looking for a new coach bump here because I know this thing is over. Like if anything, I want them to lose more games. Maybe we can slide into the top 5 and recoup the fucking first round pick from the Bruins. That's where I'm at now, just for the rest of this season. But unlikely.
That's where I'm at too.
But it's unlikely because like you know as well as I do that the chances are when they become mathematically eliminated, they'll start winning hockey games. That's what this team is going to do.
Of course. And that's why I was in the position that I was before the break, where I looked at it and I was like, you've got enough talent and you do stupid enough shit as an organization that like just accept being in the middle ground. Accept being average. Let's finish 16th, 17th, 18th. I don't give a fuck. But do not finish bottom 10. Because if you finish bottom 10, I'm going to hit my head against the wall if you're not bottom 5. Right? Yeah. And it was like, be in the middle ground, be competitive, work your dicks off, finish out the season. Let's get back at it next season. You've now tanked this out to be 8th worst in the NHL. You're sniffing a bottom 5 position. And you're also like, I don't know if Brad Treliving's going to make the right trades. I don't know if he's going to trade off enough guys. And then to your point, you just know that this stupid team is going to win fucking the last 6 games in a row to finish the season.
100%.
And we're going to finish 6th and the Bruins get the pick.
Dude, we're approaching like Phil and Dion 2.0 here. That's what we're approaching right now. But Tree has not made a move in season other than Stetcher off waivers. He hasn't done anything. He fired Savard. Okay, great. But he has not made a single move to try to improve this team. Like, I love Stetcher. Great. I hope they are able to flip Stetcher for a piece, for something. Whatever. 3rd round pick, whatever you can get. But like, he hasn't, like, Tree has not done anything in season to try to improve this team. I just think that's an epic fail. But like, looking at the product, like, he hasn't done, name me, like he hasn't done anything.
No, nothing. I said it off the top. Like, the one move that he made even in this season was the Troy Stetcher deal. That was it. Troy Stetcher and Mark Savard. Troy Stetcher and Mark Savard.
It's crazy.
Really. Like, those were your moves. And I'm not trying to say that he should have been desperate to, like, sell the future to go and find somebody at the beginning of the season, but the trade should have taken place in the summer. They didn't. You know, we look at the JJ Peterka situation and him being available. I don't know if they didn't have the assets. I don't know if they weren't willing to give up the assets. I don't know if they were scared or what it was.
Well, what was it not a one-on-one deal for Michael Kesselring? Was it not straight up?
No, Josh Stone was also in the deal. But
okay. Oh, right.
So
okay.
It made it a little more juicy. But like, it was there. Like, you really wanted the guy. It was there. Didn't make the deal. Like,
Doan and Kesselring, like, I think they're both decent hockey players, but like the Leafs didn't have a similar some type. They couldn't have put some package together to get Peterka. Like, I don't think he's the answer either, Zach. But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, neither do I. Yeah, I also don't think he's the answer. But my point is what you were saying about him, like, doing things. Like, he didn't. He was in on everybody, and the most that we did in the summer was Michelli, Waugh, and Joshua, and that was it. And there was no changes around that.
To be fair, I'd almost rather be on the other side of that trade, and I would have almost rather Tree have traded to get Doan and Kesselring, because at least those guys play with a little bit of fucking jam. Peterka's like an offensive guy. Doesn't play with a lot of bite.
He's a bit more he's got a bit more jam, I think, now getting to Utah. I think part of it is wanting to play there and not wanting to play in Buffalo, but still, yes, not as much jam. But he still would be a top 6 guy. And he would be a 100%. Major improvement over Max Domi, and he'd be a major improvement over McMahon or Michelli and those kinds of guys. And you didn't make those deals. And then you look at the beginning of the season, he poked around on everybody. Great. You never made any trades. Okay, now it's hard to make trades. Sure, I get it. In season, hard to make trades. Well, the one obvious solution or move you could have made, maybe not a solution, but move, was firing Craig Berube and going and finding somebody else. Refused to do that. It's so confusing. It's so confusing.
It is, man. All right, I got a couple things before I get out of here. Like, I do want to bring up Matthews, and I do want to bring up Riley. And where I'm going to go with this is, look, Matthews, I don't think has a goal in 6 games, regular season games, the most important games of the season, and the guy just total no-show. So I believe his value right now is as high as it will ever be, coming off of the Americans winning the gold medal at the Olympics. I think this is the peak of Auston Matthews' career right here. We're witnessing it right now. His play on the ice doesn't say that with the Leafs, but him being the captain of the American team, I think this is his value this is the peak of his career. That's what I personally believe. This summer, in my opinion, they have to approach it. Auston, we might consider rebuilding this thing. Would you be interested in going to Los Angeles? Would you be interested in going to San Jose, to Florida, if they could make that work? Do you think that is a crazy take, or would you be on board for at least approaching the conversation to see if he's interested and what we could possibly get back for him?
No, I don't think it's a crazy take. I think you have to be willing to explore everything this summer. But I think that it starts with the conversation of asking him what he wants to do. And I will say, if he says to you, I'm committed to being here, I want to be here, I want to be a Maple Leaf, and I don't want to leave, and I'm willing to go through this, then I don't think
is that good enough?
Well, I think it's good enough for me to at least work my way around what else I can do, because like, if you're getting rid of him, you're committing to being bad for a while, which maybe is in the best interest of the organization, but like long-term, or trying to start again. But again, like, if you get rid of an Auston Matthews, you're basically looking for another Auston Matthews. Leadership qualities or whatever, if we're going to question that stuff aside, you're looking for another guy like that. If he wants to be here and he's willing to commit to it and be a part of it, and it is okay with the way this season went and your plan for the future, I'm okay with it. But I think you just have to start to find ways elsewhere to reshape and rejig this thing. And I think that starts this year, Dale, like, by resetting all of it. But he just has to be okay with that. Again, I talked about, and it's kind of being thrown around out there, that there's potentially deals on the table that involve Oliver Ekman-Larsson for a first-round pick. There would be other things in that deal, but that starts to get you in the right direction. First-round picks coming back, prospects coming back, AHL guys who are just kind of not breaking through on their teams coming back, guys who are ready to take that next step but aren't in their current organizations. You could bring them here and do it. I'm okay with doing that. I look at a David Pasternak and a Charlie McAvoy in Boston and the situation they had and retooling around that. I'm not saying William Nylander and Auston Matthews are those two guys. Like, the jam and the heart they play with is outrageous compared to what we have with these guys. But, you bring in some pieces around that are young, skilled, hungry players, which is a much different outlook than what you had now. It could look very different next year. And then, Dale, the one thing I'll say is, like, you have 2 years left on his deal. And if it doesn't go better next year, and he doesn't take that, he doesn't take that upon him to step up, and the team doesn't get better, then yes, you have 1 year to work with, and maybe the value isn't quite as high because you have 1 year versus 2, but you at least gave it that shot for the one more, and then you can move the guy, and you're not at the end of his deal having to do it at a trade deadline. You have 1 more year left, so to me,
doing
that
not
conversation
saying,
in the summer is okay.
And that, it's for sure, Zach. Like, I'm not saying a deadline move here. I'm saying, like, this is a summertime thing, like, that they should at least approach to. You got to see where this dude's at, Austin. You got to see where he's at with, like, potentially resigning after the next 2 seasons. If he's got no interest in that, then I'm like, they have to approach it as, like, okay, give me a list, and like I don't think it would be crazy for him to be like, you know what, like, decent run here, but like, yeah, I'll go and play for the Kings. Like, I'm out of here. I'll get you guys the best package you can get. Try to help the Leafs on the way out. Like, unlike Mitch and whatever. But we'll see. That we can have that conversation another day. But more, how would you approach the Morgan Riley situation going forward. Probably not going to be dealt at the deadline because he holds all the cards here. But going into the offseason, how would you personally approach the Morgan Riley situation? Because he can't be on this team next year. Not going to happen.
No. I think that my pushback to people, I don't know if you've heard me say it before, but my pushback to people of giving him the Trouba treatment in the season, I'd be concerned about doing that because of how people will view the franchise going forward. And view the organization.
Sorry, Zach, just before you continue, I like Morgan Riley as a person. I love the guy. He's been a great Leaf, and he's like, I have nothing bad to say about the person. His on-ice play, atrocious.
Yeah. Yes, 100%. And I agree with you fully on that with Morgan Riley. But this summer needs to be more of an aggressive push on it. And it needs to come in two ways. Basically saying, like, you're not going to play here next year, so where are you going? And then if he's not willing to waive and you're not going to do that, then it needs to come in the form of a buyout. Because, again, overhaul. This needs to change. These guys can't be back here. He can't be on this team, as you said. He can't be. You need to change this. And I think getting rid of him is the one way to do it. In the season, I think it's the complete wrong approach if you're going to, like, healthy scratch the guy for the purpose of forcing him out. Healthy scratching the guy to send a message, sure, I got no problem with that. I've looked at many times this season and in seasons past and said Morgan Riley could use a game in the press box. That's a different story. But if you're going to say, we're going to scratch you every night, we're going to send you down to the Toronto Marlies until you accept the trade, that I don't like that. I don't like that as an organization. I don't like that as just a hockey fan in general. I just don't like that. And I think that you kind of get bit in the ass with karma sometimes on that, i.e. the New York Rangers, and look at what the Anaheim Ducks are doing right now. It can hurt you, and then it can also make other players look at it and be like, that doesn't look like a favorable organization to be in or to play for. So I would avoid that. But this summer needs to be aggressive. This summer needs to be, you're not playing here, so where are you going? And if he's not going to accept it, buyout. Like, soak it. You got to own the buyout.
100% agree with everything you just said there. Last thing I'm going to say, Zach, and then I'll let you move on here. The Atlantic Division next year, okay? So depending on what the Leafs do at the trade deadline and in the offseason, whatever, okay? If the majority of, like, I heard some, like, I think Friedman was saying second intermission that, like, potentially, like, they're looking at re-signing McMahon. If they re-sign Bobby McMahon for $5 million, I'm going to fucking lose my shit. Like, not happening. No scenario should that happen. He does not deserve a $5 million contract. So I don't know what they're going to do at the trade. Like I said last time I talked to you, I'm terrified that Tree Living is going to botch this trade deadline. But moving forward, the Atlantic Division next season, okay, let's say they make a couple deals, but not enough. And they do blame it on injuries, and they think that they can win again next year, and they're going to try to make the playoffs again next year. I'm looking at the Atlantic Division, brother, and you tell me, Tampa Bay, are they gonna take a step back? Very unlikely. Florida took a step forward, or sorry, Detroit took a step forward. Montreal took a step forward. I think if the Sens had better goaltending, they probably might be in a playoff spot right now. The Bruins, I could go up or down on. I'm not sure which way they're gonna go. Buffalo, clearly a lot better. And I think Florida, with a healthy Barkov next year, will be back in the mix as well. So where does that leave the Toronto Maple Leafs, Zach? To me, not a playoff team.
Yeah, it's a good point, and it's a good question, and it worries me if it's Brad Treliving who's the guy who's going to be running it. It depends on how much they change this summer. And at the deadline, which to your point is also a scary thing. I'm worried he's going to botch it as well, but you get aggressive here. You get into a situation where you start to change how this team is built and looks and stuff. I don't see why you couldn't be competing with those teams at bare minimum and be up there with them. And I think at the end of the day, that's all you were asking for. From a regular season standpoint, and then in the playoffs, who the fuck knows? But, it does worry me that if they don't do enough to change this team, then you're just kind of praying for a miracle that these guys have an unbelievable season next year and play above their capabilities to get that done. Like, that's where I will 100% agree with you. But I think if you change a lot and you try it again, that's where I would be like, yeah, I'm willing to accept this and this fate and try this season. And if it doesn't work, then you just rebuild. Like, it's over at that point.
It's a tough ask, man. It really is. And like all the teams they're dead last in the Atlantic, dude. Like, and all the teams I just mentioned don't look like they're getting worse. The Leafs are the team that look like they're getting worse. So I don't know how they expect to come back. Like you said, barring some crazy things in the offseason, I don't know how they come back next year and think, oh, we're going to be a playoff team that's going to take out the other, like, upper echelon teams in the Atlantic, which used to be us, and it's not anymore. I don't know, dude. It sucks. It's a tough situation. They need to have a big trade. They need to have a big trade deadline, and they need to have a big off season. But I don't know, man. Tree living, like, I have no idea, dude. Me. But anyway, Zach, listen to this, brother. 22 games left, man. And then we're going to be on a beach somewhere drinking margaritas, brother. That's what's up.
22 games. Count the fucking days, man. And like, every time I watch this, and they're rattling them off fast. You know, you look at this next week, 4 games coming up here. I think it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday are the games coming up this week. It'll go quick. It'll go quick. Well, Dale, thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Zach. Take care, sir.
Thank you. You as well. Looking forward to the next one.
Good luck with Prague when he gets on here. Tell him to mute his fucking mic next time when he's got other people listening. You know what I'm saying?
No kidding. Guy's taking a phone call while he's sitting here waiting, and he's just walking away. What the fuck?
I'll be tuned in to listen to that one. Take care, Zach. You do a great job. I'll talk to you again. I'll talk to you again before the trade deadline. After that, I might go into hibernation, but I got one more call on me before the trade deadline.
Okay, sounds good. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, Dale. Great call.
Take care, brother.
Thank you. You too. All right, there you go. Dale on the line. Great call as always. And yeah, I mean, Dale said some stuff that I not necessarily disagree with, but like just don't want to go down the path. And I think part of me is still holding on hope that as long as you have Austin Matthews and William Nylander here, you still have an ability to be competitive because they are high-end players, and you know, you don't want to just get rid of them and call it quits, but I think you have one more year and one more chance at it to try again next year and see if something can be different, and if it can't be, then yeah, it's full rebuild. Like, the only reason I say that is because you have 2 years left of Matthews and a few years left of Nylander, and you give that a shot, see where you're at. If it doesn't go well, all right, it's over. More calls to get to, but before we get there, just a reminder, tonight's show, as always, is a presentation of our friends at Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use promo code NATION, that's NATION, code NATION, NATION. Must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit connectsontario.ca. So, just to come clean with you guys, hand up, I didn't have another pregame video up today. What happened, which I shouldn't be making excuses, but what happened is I'm moving tomorrow morning. My building, no one gives a shit about this, but just to context. My building let me know today you're not allowed to move furniture on Sundays. Who the hell would have thought? So, basically, from all the time that I would have been working, we went into full panic mode and had to move all my furniture out of here today into my girlfriend's house. And it's sitting there right now. So, that's what happened. I spent 5 hours moving furniture from my house through cars and my buddy's truck. Shout out my boys, Keegs and Badal, who stuck around down here to help me move everything in their trucks to my girlfriend's house. We got it all over there. No one gives a shit, but that's what happened. My building, you don't move on Sundays. You can't move on Sundays. Has anybody ever heard of that? Anyways, I didn't get a game preview in. I really apologize. 6 1/3. Lessons were fucking learned. I was John Tavares after a playoff loss today. Lessons learned. Building doesn't move on Sundays. So, everything moved today. The preview didn't get up. That's on me. There's no excuse for it. I had to do that. I had no idea that was the case. It's on me. The only thing I have left is clothes. You can move clothes in suitcases and boxes. Can't move furniture. Can't move furniture. So, yeah. Look, man. You live and you learn, I guess. Had no idea. But I'll be out of here tomorrow. Best bet tonight, I would not have bet on the Leafs. But if you did, you would have lost at pretty decent plus money here tonight. Total in this one does go over 5-2, 6.5. So that one goes over. I mean, I think I probably in this one would have bet William Nylander anytime goal. I would have just gone back to the well. It would have won. But I didn't give out a bet. So I can't victory lap anything. I apologize, but sorry, everybody. Malcolm, can't move furniture during the day. During the day on Sundays. Yeah. All right. Nobody cares about that, but I figured I'd let people in on a little bit of my life. Let's go to our next caller. He's been waiting for a while. Let's welcome to the program, Paul. What's up, Paul?
Hey, Zach. How you doing?
I've seen better days, Paul. Less frustrated days, that's for sure.
Yeah, me too. It's been a long week for Leafs fans, that's for sure.
It has been. It's been a long 59 fucking years is what it's been. It's been a long 59 years. Jesus. What'd you make of this one here tonight, Paul, and where we're at in the season so far?
Yeah, the season's got a lot worse than I actually anticipated. Those few games we won around Christmas when everybody was cheering, I knew it was a fluke. I still thought Berube should have been moved at that point, but unfortunately, won whatever it was 4 in a row or whatever before the break or just after the break, I forget, or was it to start the new year. And everyone's, we're in the playoff run again, and then here comes the Berube success story or the run of the hot goalie story. But here we are back to reality, bottom of the Atlantic where they really belong.
Yeah, given the way that this team was constructed, the lack of moves, the lack of accountability, I guess to say too, within the coaching staff and recognition from the players and everybody throughout this season, I think bottom of the Atlantic is where they belong. And, I was willing to say for a while there, they deserve to, at minimum, be in the middle ground, and I was okay with that. I was okay with being in the mucky middle and getting back at it next season. But, you watch them quit, like what they did on Wednesday to an extent, Thursday more so, and then tonight, which just felt like they threw in the towel and said, fuck it, get us out of here. They deserve to be at the bottom of the pile. They do. Yeah,
no, I agree. You guys touched on a lot of good talking points. I was agreeing with most of the things you guys were bringing up. The one thing I wanted to mention about Austin Matthews is I think a lot of people forget that he used to idolize Anze Kopitar's playing style. And I never really saw similarities until now, where Matthews, we were used to a guy that was, supposed to score 50, 60 goals a season easily. But now I'm seeing a guy that might score, whatever, 30 a year, but his defensive game is decent, 200-foot guy, great face-offs, excellent stick along the boards. He'll strip anybody. But I don't have a problem with having an Anze Kopitar as a number one center going forward, but I don't think the Leafs fan base and management can count on him putting 60 in and saving games anymore.
So my only wonder is what happens if he gets better line mate and combine that with a better play style. And I will specifically point to his usage. Like you brought up Anze Kopitar, and I think that's a good comparison. Like I think Austin Matthews is a more offensively talented and a significantly better goal scoring model of Anze Kopitar. I think that Craig Berube played him like Anze Kopitar, and he shouldn't be played like Anze Kopitar. And now people are going to use this and radio me and twist my words, and I don't mean this as a direct comparison, but he should be played more like Connor McDavid. And again, don't twist the words on that. I'm not saying he is Connor McDavid, but the point I'm trying to make is that he should be utilized in offensive zone situations. He should be utilized trying to get the better of your lower down in the lineup guys and off of icings and all those kinds of things, and using him in the offensive zone and starting him there more so than you start him in the defensive zone. Whereas in the defensive zone, that's where he's usually started and given the chances from Berube. That's not even to say anything about the line mates he's playing with, but he's just given those duties where it's like, hey, dude, tonight you're the shutdown guy. And it's like, well, if he's the shutdown guy, who's scoring? Because now you're basically putting it all on William Nylander, and while William Nylander is a phenomenal player, you're like eliminating Austin Matthews from the equation by playing him against the toughest matchup every single night intentionally. And he's a good enough player that he can still contribute and produce. Like you brought up, he could score 30 to 40 goals, and that's still amazing in the NHL. Like, there's guys who won't even score 30 to 40 goals in their career in the NHL. And for him to still be able to do that, even against top talent, is great. But if he wants to get from 30 to 40 to 40 to 50 and 50 plus consistently, he needs to be used better offensively. So that's why I hang on to that idea and don't want to give up on him right away. And then the other thing that I'll just throw out is, like, he's playing every night with Max Domi and Bobby McMahon. And we saw him for a while be able to carry it. But then I think that we are now seeing the regression of McMahon and Domi, and it has nothing to do with Matthews. It just has to do with Max Domi and Bobby McMahon being Max Domi and Bobby McMahon, and not being Chris Kunitz and Pascal Dupuis, and realizing, oh, fuck, these guys are playing out of their element. They're playing too high in the lineup. They're playing too many minutes. They're playing in too tough of matchups. And now Austin Matthews is having to carry that. And you're seeing that drag him down. So those two things still give me hope. But your point, Paul, is still very valid in terms of what his comparison would be as of right now and how his payment does not match the output.
Yeah, no, well put, Zach. I do agree with that, and I do hope Tree Living can pull a rabbit out of the hat and do something to get him stronger top six. Because Max Domi and a Bobby McMahon, who I like McMahon, I like what he brings, but I think this is the
rabbit
best
out of a hat, Paul. He's got to find it out of his fucking ass. He's got to dig deep somewhere.
Somebody does. Yeah.
Continue.
Sorry, no, I was just going to say McMahon. This is the best he's ever going to be. I like McMahon. Speed, size, obviously an incredible cap hit, but they got to move him. The Leafs have nothing in the cupboard. McMahon's got to go. Ekman Larsson's got to go. I don't care if Stolar's got to go. Get some picks back. Play some Marlies. See what happens. But I don't think Rogers or MLSC is going to give up. I can see, they don't like failures, and I think they're blind to the fact that this team's not great. They think because they have Matthews and Nylander that they're bound for greatness, and I think they're just going to keep retooling and retooling and retooling until we've exhausted Matthews and Nylander's prime.
Yeah, and I think that from an organizational perspective, you're probably more right than you are wrong, which is unfortunate in terms of what I would want them to do. That's not at all it, but in terms of what MLSE is saying or showing or presenting, I guess at this point, I would agree with you, and it's very unfortunate, but I would agree with you. And that's why I think, like, this deadline is crucial. It's crucial for the future of the organization. Getting rid of those kinds of guys like you brought up, getting rid of some of the guys I said earlier, going into the summer and changing the outlook of this thing. Like, having one of Dakota Joshua or Scott Lawton is good. Probably don't need both. Having Joshua Nick Waugh, not Dakota Joshua. Having Dakota Joshua here is probably fine. But then what else are you going to have in your lineup? Having McMahon and Joshua is redundant. I don't think it makes sense to have Michelli and to have Domi. I think you need to have Matthew Knies in your top six. I think you need to be playing Easton Cowan in your top six next year. Like, that to me is where you need to be heading. You need to be getting younger, and to what you said earlier, you need to be giving some of these Marlies a try. I don't know if they're NHL players, but I don't know that they're not. I don't know if Villeneuve is a guy who can or can't play. We don't know. We don't know about Thrun too much. We don't know about Quillen too much. They've been given some opportunity, but it's been minimal when they've gotten the chance. Like, you need to change this thing. You brought up OEL being traded. I'm on board with that because I think it brings you back a good haul. The idea of moving a Brandon Carlo, if somebody's going to get horny and try to buy on that, like a Detroit Red Wings, I think you have to do it. But you have to start to look at those teams and say, hey, who do you have over there that's your Fraser Minton? And it might not be the equivalent of what you got back from, or what you gave to Boston for Brandon Carlo. It's not going to match. No. But you have to approach it that way, in my mind. You have to look at it and say, who's the kid you have who's waiting to get through that we can pluck off of your team, because he's not going to make your team this year or next year, but he might make ours. Find that guy. Go find that guy. But it scares me that MLSE is not going to want to do that because they want to compete, and they're going to look at older, more proven veterans.
100%. That's exactly what I was thinking. And that could be why the whole thing with the Marlies is Tree Living or Berube, whoever's setting the lines and bringing them up and down, won't give him a fair shot because of what we just said. They have proven NHLers in their lineup, and they think that they have a better shot making the playoffs and moving on with those said NHLers over putting Marlies in for 20 games or whatever, which I don't know. I'm not liking this new Pelly construction, but we'll see what happens.
I'm not either, and I'm not liking what I'm hearing out of them and what it seems like to be this reluctance to clean this up. It seems like they would rather, put some Flex Seal on some of the holes rather than tear it down, or just build a new model of it. You keep the idea, keep the Matthews and the Nylanders and the idea of being tough and hard to play against, but change the outlook, build a different version of it. It seems like they would rather just patch up what they have right now, and that scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the patchwork, it rarely works in any sport, really. I mean, not something as like the NHL. The parity's massive these days. Margins are thin. So, I had a lot more, but I know it's getting late. I just wanted to call and say a couple of things. I like what you're doing, Zach. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Paul. Really appreciate the call here tonight. You're welcome back anytime.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Have a good night.
Thank you, Paul. You too. There you go. Paul on the line. Great call from Paul there. Really appreciate that. I got a lot more calls here waiting, so let's rattle these off. Let's go to our guy, J.D. Anderson. J.D., what's up, buddy? J.D.?
Yeah, you got me?
Yep, I got you. What's up?
There you go. Not too much. It's been a little while. I haven't called in, so I figured I'd give you a shout tonight really quick. And just chat for a couple minutes. I'll make it a quick one tonight.
No problem. What's up? What's on your mind?
Yeah. Transparency. The last game I actually watched was that Lightning game. And I kind of had a feeling what was coming down the pike. And I thought to myself, it's a lot of wasted time. It's a lot of wasted energy and heartbreak and stuff that I don't need. So I've been putting myself into more productive situations. But of course, diehard Leafs fans still. I've been checking in and just, popping it on in the background, just checking the scores, checking how they're doing. And, quite frankly, not surprised and not quite as unhappy as you are. more of the mind to agree with the previous caller. I think that this is something that's going to basically force MLSE's hand, hopefully, and bring on the change that we all as fans know that's much needed for this team and has been for 10 years. That's my synopsis overview of what's happened the last couple of days.
Yeah, I get that. I think in general, losing, like, at this point, I'm okay with. I think my frustration in tonight's game in particular came with
Quitting.
the quit. Yeah, it was the quit of these guys. Like, that was, I've come on here and questioned the give a fuck and the try and the character before. But that to me was like unquestionable, like 6 1/3 is a guy, and I'm not saying this is a call out. Like he's a guy who tends to disagree with me a lot when I come on here and say stuff like that. And even 6 opened it up tonight in the chat and was saying that was pathetic. That was embarrassing. And that was what frustrated me. Like, I don't have a problem, JD, with this team losing and being a team who resets and gets ready to miss the playoffs this year and come back at it hard next year. That's okay. That's for the best in the organization, more likely than not. Trading these assets is for the best. But that was so pathetic. That was so pathetic. And that was what pissed me off, is this, just that it was a full-blown quit job.
I hear you. Yeah. I don't think any sane mind could disagree with that. I think it was pretty obvious and pretty apparent. Even just sitting here and watching, 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there, it was apparent. And I mean, it shouldn't be, just casually watching a game. You shouldn't casually watch maybe 25% of a game and go, holy fuck, we got a team that doesn't even want to be in that fucking arena tonight. It is pathetic. It is just sad and unacceptable in every possible way. And one of the early callers kind of almost said this, but it really drove something home to me that I feel is fucking glaringly obvious, and I don't know how it is not to the organization and the powers that be. It's obvious what the problem with the fucking team is. It's a bunch of guys that are supposed to be leaders, that are supposed to be stars, that are supposed to be the fucking cornerstones of their organization, that are absolutely playing for one fucking person, just for themselves. And when that was apparently obvious to me was watching the Tampa game, because Tampa, when I watched them, I saw a cohesive team that was fucking tape-to-tape passes, tic-tac-toe plays. Every player on that team knew where the other guy was. There was no thought. There was no scrambly bullshit wondering, who's in what position type thing. Everybody knew they were playing as a cohesive fucking team for each other. And it just, you could feel it. You didn't even have to see it. You could feel it in the flow of the game, and every move they made. It was calculated. It was crisp. It was a near perfect performance by them. And then you watch Toronto, and it's sloppy, bad passes, confusion, not knowing where positionally they should be.
Yeah.
Because it's not a team game. For them, it's not. It's supposed to be. For the fucking Leafs, it is not a team game. It is guys jumping on the ice and saying, well, like Nylander. How many times has Nylander skated in 1-on-3, 1-on-4, 1-on-fucking-5 and tried to beat an entire team with flashy fucking bullshit plays when he's got 2, 3, 4 guys coming up behind him in support, that if he holds onto the puck for another 2 seconds and has some kind of fucking, some team play, some awareness offensively and defensively, there's plays to be made. You don't go in 1-on-fucking-3 to 5 and win a lot of plays. It's a very low percentage, stupid, unintelligent hockey fucking play, but he keeps on doing it. Matthews, I've seen do it. I mean, Marner did it all the fucking time. We know that. But it's still happening because we hold on to these guys that do the same fucking shit over and over and over. And it's like they say, definition of sanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So, we're the fucking idiots. Quite frankly, the fans, we're the stupidest ones of all. because we watch this fucking team. We pay these exorbitant amounts of money to go to these piece of shit games when in the back of our mind, we know exactly how it's all going to fucking end. It's like a bad girlfriend that's out running all over town. You know it's not going to end well. Why do you keep going back to the well? Why do you like pain? I mean, it's I don't know, dude. That's my little Zach-esque rant.
Yeah, no, it was a good one. It was a good one, and I appreciate it. And I mean, the point about going back for pain is a good one. It's the same thing I said about the team every single year and believing that they were going to be different going into the playoffs, and they just never were. It was always the same thing. It was the same situation. It was the same fall off in the playoffs. You know, they'd show us they were this amazing regular season team. They'd get built the same way year after year, and then they'd fall apart the same way in the playoffs. And every year I'd be like, I believe this is different. This is the year. And it just never was. And it was always going back because for whatever reason, we love pain. We love pain, man. We love pain.
Apparently so. And you know what? I think another obvious thing too, I don't know that it's going to happen. I really, really fucking hope it's going to. But Tree's got to go. Tree has to fucking go.
Yeah.
In the offseason, he absolutely, because it's too many fumbles, it's too many opportunities to do the right thing and then hanging on to bullshit and doing the wrong thing. I mean, his superstar fucking move since coming here is grabbing Stetcher from Edmonton, as far as I'm concerned. And I mean, that's mediocre at best, even though I love Stetcher. I think he's great. But I mean, and if you look at the what have you done for me lately? A whole lot of fuck all. So, I mean, and I hate to say the other thing too, because I was for the longest time a big proponent of Berube, and I still don't think he's a bad coach. Actually, I might rethink that that statement, because just the way he's utilized guys like Cowan and the bench in general, running the same fucking lines out there over and over and over again, refusing to bring people up, refusing to send people down, just hammering the same fucking dog shit nonsense over and over again. I don't understand it. In the early stages when he came along, I really liked the fire in the belly. I liked the no bullshit accountability, all the talk. But I mean, it's seeming like he's not walking the talk anymore. And I mean, is he scared for a job? Is that the situation? Is Tree puppeteering him too much? I mean, to me, that seems to be the only reasonable, sane explanation, is that he's not being given as much rope as he should be to make a lot of the decisions that are on the more intelligent side. Is it coming down from Pelly? I mean, explain it to me, Zach.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have the answer. I don't know. I don't have the answer. Unfortunately, right now, the only thing that I can say is it just feels like there's too many voices involved in this that are just not on the same page. And it even goes beyond this year. Like, you know, you look at the Dubas Shanahan stuff when they were here, and, you know, when Dubas left, some of it kind of got exposed about how the operation worked. And the fact that Dubas would get a trade proposal, and then he'd have to go to Shanahan, and then Shanahan would have to go to the board, and then the board would go back to Shanahan, and then Shanahan go back to Dubas, and then Dubas go back to the GM, and then the other GM would change something in the trade or counter in the trade, and then Dubas take it back to Shanahan, Shanahan back to the board, and then board back. Yeah, over and over and over again. And it's like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, why is this always the path? And Dubas, obviously, whoever he told that to, made that public when he left that was the case. You know, I think Dubas made a lot of mistakes when he was here, and I think a lot of those are on him, but it's very clear that a lot of those were also on Shanahan and Shanahan's idea of what the team was going to be. And now I look at this team and I look at Tree Living, and it's like two parts. You know, the first part is and I know you're kind of asking about Berube and stuff, and then leading into the Tree Living and stuff, but it's like, I look at Tree Living, and the first part of it is Shanahan was here, and I look at some of the mistakes that were made when Dubas was here, and I think a lot of them are similar. They just came under the name of Brad Tree Living, where he was trying to do something differently, and I liked what he was trying to do differently, but I think some of it got they were just overzealous, and they said we need to do this and we need to do it fast. And I wonder how much of that was Shanahan's involvement. Now Shanahan leaves, he's gone, and it's just up to Tree Living, and it's like, I do think it's important to have other voices in the room and other intelligent hockey voices in the room. You know, you look at the Buffalo Sabres, Kevin Adams being in there, he never was surrounded by any other smart hockey voices. And how many mistakes did Kevin Adams make through the years where he just had no advice, he had nobody talking to him, and he got swindled in trade after trade after trade? There's nobody in there to talk to him about any of those things. It's all up to Tree Living. So there's no one around him at that president level and another prominent hockey voice. And then beyond that, you know, you think about the input that MLSE seems to have, and it seems to be stronger than ever, which is unfortunate because, you know, they give Tree Living a vote of confidence and say, hey, it's all him, it's all up to him. And then it's like you peel back all these layers that seem to be coming out, and it seems like their involvement in this is far more than it needs to be. What they want and how they want it to go and what they want the construction to look like and the competitiveness of the team. You know, we all want the team to compete and be in the playoffs every year and be pushing for a Stanley Cup. But there's also moments where you have to sit back and reflect and realize, hey, it's not that time. We need to take a step back. And it seems like MLSE just doesn't want to lose the money. They don't want to do that. You know, even making the decisions that we heard about with the sports science team. You know, that was a story for a week and it kind of got dismissed, but it's a big story. It should be a big story about how this thing is run. And I don't believe what Tree Living was saying for a second, really. Like, I don't think that they put the right people in the position to run the sports science team. I don't. I think they took people they already had. Like, it's like Moneyball, where, you know, when he fires the head scout, he walks down the hall and he tells, he's like, you played baseball? The guy says Little League, and he goes, congrats, you're the new head of amateur scouting. Feels like that's what they did. They took somebody they already had and they said, hey, buddy, you ever worked in sports science? And he said, I worked at Good Life once. And he said, congrats, you're the new director of sports science. You're like, whoa, what the fuck? And it's because I don't think they want to spend the money. I don't think they want to do it. I don't think that they want to be paying guys not to be here. I think they wanted to condense things and they wanted their profits to go up. And that cuts into the hockey, that cuts into the business, like the operations side of things, I should say. And it scares the fuck out of me.
Yeah, you know what? And also, it probably doesn't help that the guy at the top of the pyramid here now, that the Leafs are like his seventh favorite fucking team under the MLS League banner.
Yeah.
You know, he seems to really have his concerns. You know, it starts with the Jays and works its way down, basically. And we seem to be at the bottom of the fucking trough. But, yeah. So what do you expect there? A couple quick things. From my opinion, in the offseason, my definite keeps would be JT, Nyes, OEL, Stetcher, Matthews, and Wall. And then I would be more than willing to tear down anything beyond that. And of course, yeah, Willie's in that list. And I've been a fan of Willie for the longest time. But if we can get back, you know, a couple firsts, a first, second, something decent out of Willie, and you know, move towards a bigger, better future for the team. That's obviously the first concern here. We need to stock the bare cupboards that we got. So we need those picks, or real kick-ass prospects. And I gotta say, I really do like a take that one of the early callers made about the possibility of shopping Matthews. I know that probably 95% of the people in chat and, you know, the casuals and stuff like that are going to probably think that's absolutely insane. But I think it is a good valid point that after the Olympic Games and stuff like that, I don't think the caller worded it the way he was meaning it. I don't think he's at his peak of his career, like potential wise and stuff like that. I think he's at the peak of his value trade wise. I think he's on the back nine. I think he's on the decline. So shopping him in the offseason, if it is a possibility, if he does have any interest whatsoever in going to a cup contending team for future, I would be a huge supporter of that. I mean, I think he's an American-born player. He doesn't have that heart and grit and soul of being a kid that grew up here, that always dreamed of playing on the team. He seems quite nonchalant most of the time. He's not a very vocal guy. He's a little quiet. We don't need that here. That is not what we need. He's a great fucking player. He can score goals like a motherfucker. Can he do anything else? No. Fuck all. Zero. Zilch. That's what he does. He scores a lot of goals. And you know what? He's been pretty inconsistent for this season and, you know, a couple other seasons. You know, he had his good 69 goal season. He's had a couple 50 pluses. Another what have you done for me lately? I think shopping him out the fucking door would be one of my first priorities. Call me crazy.
I'm not gonna call you crazy, but excuse me. I would say I still would give another year of it.
It's a wasted year.
He has 2 left on his deal. He has 2 years left on his deal.
So shop him now while he has that interest, because he's going to be more valuable with those extra years on his fucking contract than 1 year RFA, UFA. I mean,
I understand. I understand, but I would also just like, he is an unbelievable 200-foot player. He's a guy who is going to be your best defensive forward. He can play in all situations. I still think he's the best goal scorer in the league. And I would just be interested to see what happens with him if he gets a new coach, a new system, and some new line mates. And those things I don't think are going to be too hard to do. You know, again, like, give him a healthy Matthew Nyes, and I think that changes things up. I think you still need to go and find a top 6 winger and probably a guy to play with him. Like Max Domi and Matthias Michelli aren't the guys at all. Maybe Easton Cowan takes a step, maybe not. Maybe you have to go find someone else, but still finding a guy, and then giving him somebody who's gonna allow him to play more offensively and put him in more favorable situations than what Berube does, I think can open him up.
Right. Tell me this, though. Are they going to do what needs to be done to support him in the offseason, though? Or trade deadline or offseason? Are they going to do that? Because if they are willing to do that, if they are willing to basically tear down to the studs and keep a guy like that and keep somewhat of a core, they have to go balls out otherwise. Because if they get rid of say Domi, McMahon, you know, if they get rid of OEL, they're kind of fucked. You know, maybe they get rid of a McCabe or something like that. They get rid of 2-3 guys that are really not heart and soul impact guys on the team, and bring in a couple, you know, mediocre 3-4 mil guys. What is that going to do? What the fuck is that going to do next year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. If that's the case, then yes, I get it, and it's the same kind of situation of what Dale was saying. And I would understand that, and I would be on board with that. I just think like he is an amazing player, and I think you should be finding a way to better support him and recognizing the mistakes you made, and that should be the goal of the offseason. But I mean, to your point, like if that happens, I can't disagree with you. Like if they look at it and they can't find anybody, then yes, like you're up shit's creek without a paddle. If you're not willing to go and change things, and you still think a Max Domi or a Matthias Michelli is your answer, you're up shit's creek without a paddle. Like you're in a bad situation. But I think if you go and try to replace it and you try to get him a better guy to play with him, then you're in a better spot. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the Matthews thing. Anything else here tonight, JD?
No, that's it, brother. It's getting late, and yeah, I'll let you get to the other callers and stuff. I just wanted to chime in real quick. So yeah, love the show as always. Thanks for having me on, and not go Leafs go. Tank Leafs tank.
Yeah, tank Leafs tank. Thanks for the call tonight, JD. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, have a good one. See you guys.
Thanks, you too. There you go. JD on the line. We'll get to our next caller in a moment here, just quickly to remind people, as we still have about 500 people watching right now. If you haven't already, subscribed here to the channel. Hit that like button. Let's get ourselves up over 200 likes here tonight, 196 right now. There's no reason we can't get 250, 300 likes here on the stream. Keep hitting that like button. Keep subscribing to the channel. We're going to get to our next caller in a moment, but yeah, the other thing to remind people as well, super chats. You want to get your question, your comment, your concern read on the show, send in those super chats. Proceeds from our super chats will go to Sick Kids Charity. It's an amazing cause, so make sure to hit that like button, send in those super chats. But let's go to the next call here on the line. Let's go to Anonymous Canes fan. Anonymous Canes fan, what's up, buddy?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep, I got you.
So, first things first, you owe us salts.
I know.
It's crazy. I hope the move, by the way, that sounds unreal. I've never heard of that. I'm in the States, so I've never heard of that, but either way, that's insane, totally insane.
Imagine my shock when I was planning on moving tomorrow when I found out that was the case. It wasn't a week in advance. It was tomorrow.
Yeah, that's crazy. No, the second thing I wanted to say was how nasty is Matthews going to look with Gensel and Kucherov?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Get out.
But realistically, I wanted to do a little thought exercise with you.
Okay.
And obviously, I don't follow the Leafs super closely. I'm more of a neutral. So I'm not sure exactly the kind of turnover that there's been. But how many... This is a question to you. How many coaches have there been in this era? And maybe you call that the core four. I know we're moving on from that. But I guess in the Matthews era.
It would be on their third coach. Babcock, Keefe, Berube.
Okay. And GM. It's 3, right?
It is 3. Yeah, it was Lou, Dubas, Tree.
Right. I can't help but looking at this from an outsider's perspective and say, how are we doing this again? And that's just the coaches and management turnover. How many fringe guys have been brought in to fit in around Matthews or Nylander or Tavares or Marner? Yeah. It seems like there's an intrinsic problem that goes way deeper than management or coach or even players, frankly. It feels like something is... I struggle to use the word curse. I don't think they're cursed, but it does almost feel that way when you look at it. And again, there seems to be a disconnect with fans. I mean, you hear post-game, all the quotes. I don't know who the reporter was, but the question kept being brought up. Seems like there was quit. And unanimously, there was no quit. It's just a confidence thing. But you look at the fans, and it seems to be the only thing uniting the fans right now is that there is quit, and that seems to be the problem. But there's such a disconnect between players and fans. I honestly don't know what fixes the problems outside of a serious... And I'm going to pause. I'm going to back up for a second. Do you think that any part of this is due to how, I don't want to say privileged, but it almost feels like these guys are, babied would be the wrong word, but everything's hand-fed with a golden spoon. You have the best doctors. You have the best sports science. You have the best facilities. You have probably even the best food, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
do you think that sometimes it's just taken for granted? And what do you think?
I mean, it's a fair point. I get what you're saying. I think the problem more so started from like beyond that. Like maybe that plays a factor in the entitlement, and I think that's part of it. Look, I think part of the problem here happened early on. And with each of them, it happened in a different way. But, I can look at Dubas and the contract handling. And I don't know if you heard it as much. I know you're a Canes fan and not as much in the Toronto market, but the one thing we always remember here in Toronto, and I don't know how far out it reached beyond just Leafs fans, was Dubas with the infamous line, "We can and we will sign the guys," because they were talking about how are you going to fit all these guys in under the contracts, and he said, "We can."
It reached North Carolina.
Okay, so I think that's part of it, right? Where it's like, we're going to get them here. We don't care. We're keeping them no matter what. And then we saw playoff failures year in and year out, and there was no adjustment. There was no accountability held from management or holding the feet over the fire. It was just constantly, we believe in these guys. And I'm not saying that you can't show belief in your players. Don't get me wrong. Holding belief in your players is great, but you look at some of these other organizations and they come out and after they'll be like, we need to look internally. We need to reflect on what went on. We need to do, and then it's like, wow, like they're taking this loss seriously. You see what would happen in Toronto and it'd be like, we believe in the guys, oh no, it's not their fault. We thought they were amazing players and they worked really hard and they did really well. And it's like, well, there was no uncomfortableness. Like there was no uncomfortability here. There was never a moment where these guys looked around and were concerned for ice time or opportunities. The most that ever came was under Mike Babcock, and that didn't last very long. And he's a shitty person, so that was obviously not the right fit or the right situation. But, coaching wise, you can look at the things he would do on the bench and how he would operate that. And it was like, he would sit guys and take minutes away and play other guys over them because he wanted them to learn lessons and grow. And then the market even would demand at that point and talk about like, well, no, they need to play. They need chances. They do need to play and they do need chances. But sometimes when you do a little flippy backhand no-look pass out of your zone that gets picked off and goes for a goal in the playoffs, you might want to have a couple shifts taken away, and that's what would be done. And then that was quickly taken away because the players didn't like it. And, again, he was a dickhead of a person, and off the ice was pretty terrible, but that kind of stuff just was quickly handed to them again. Keefe came in, nice guy, doesn't take anything away, do what you want, when you want, how you want. I don't care, it doesn't matter. Dubas was the same way with these guys. Shanny was the same way. It just instilled that. The contracts, they got whatever they wanted, however they wanted. None of them took 8-year deals. They all got shorter term deals. They all got maximum money. They all got no trade protection. They all got walked to free agency. Like, it just happened over and over again, It was this entitlement the entire way through, and I think you're kind of seeing some of that here now. So the facilities and all that kind of stuff, I get it. It's probably a piece of it, but I think that it's a small piece in the grand scheme.
Right. No, I think what you just touched on is a much bigger piece to that puzzle. Whether or not the facilities, the meals, the nutritionists, whoever's behind the scenes, whether that factors in or not, I think what you just said was a much greater point. And it almost seems like they tried to, I know that Berube's known as more of like an accountability guy, if you want to put that label on him. It almost seems like they try to write course and like, oh, maybe Keefe was too soft and we'll bring in Berube to be that missing piece. But that's why I'm like, I look at it, I don't know if like it seems like every different personality has been tried, and you try this GM with this coach and this system, and nothing seems to work. And that's why I don't think it matters who you bring in unless there is a total culture change. And I don't know where that comes from, whether that's ownership down or if that comes with sending out a guy like Matthews and bringing in a different piece. And I don't think it'd be fair to put all of that on one player. Bring in one guy and saying you're responsible for changing the culture here. I think it's a bunch of little things. What are your thoughts on it?
Sorry, what are my thoughts on what specifically?
That I don't think I don't think it matters who you bring in, the caliber of player, unless there's culture change. And I don't know if that comes from the players or top down.
No, like it's hard to answer because I think you're kind of at this point, unfortunately, looking for the perfect piece. You need a hard-nosed guy. Let's talk about coach. You need a hard-nosed guy who's going to allow creativity, but he's also going to hold guys accountable for, and what's the best way to put it? Like bad habits. You know, you want guys to play. You want guys to be free. You want guys to be creative. You want all that kind of stuff from your players, especially your offensive players. But you have to recognize at times that there's a time and a place for situations. And then defensively, we're all going to buy into this system. That starts with your coaches. And I think with Keefe, it was always, it always seemed at least like it was like a lot of creativity and lack of accountability. With Berube, it was like no creativity, too much accountability for the wrong guys, and not enough accountability for the others. There probably needs to be some middle ground there in all of that. And then in terms of the players and the culture specifically that we're talking about, like, you need to bring in high-end talent here who already has the culture instilled in them that can work around these guys. And I just don't know who that guy is, which is scary at this point, because I think you needed it to be Matthews or Nylander. And so I guess to go back to Dale's point, who called in a couple of people who go, that's where it gets worrisome, where it's like, is it too far gone? Because I think it should have been those guys. Now, who is it that you can bring in? Because I think it needs to be one of your big dogs who has that, who instills the culture. And I just don't know if they have that. Like, look at the Pittsburgh Penguins. Nobody's ever going to question the character or the heart or the pride of that team. And it's always because everyone looks around at Sidney Crosby and knows that they're not going to slack off or have those types of games. Same thing happens with Connor McDavid. Same thing happens with Nathan McKinnon. You might not have your A game, but you're never going to lack in pride or character or heart. Doesn't seem to be the case here. I don't know if that answers your question in terms of what you were looking for. I just think, like, I'm almost just lost, honestly, man, at this point. Like, I'm almost at a point with watching it where it's just like I'm rattling around in my brain for as much as I possibly can of what the answer is, and it's just I don't know. Like, I talk about the GM. We talk about the owner and the president and Keith Pelly right now. Like, I'm not loving the things he's saying or the decisions he's making. That seems to be part of the problem. MLSE and the fact that it seems like they just want money so badly more than anything else. That's a part of the culture problem. The Shanahan and Dubas stuff was part of the culture problem. I'm at a loss, man. I'm at a loss right now.
I think it may be harder to do this in a bigger market, but do you think at any point in Matthews' career so far, he's been worried of being scratched? Or Riley? No. Maybe Riley.
Maybe Riley, but even then, like, no, I don't think any of these guys really ever dealt with that.
Right. And how many teams have you seen? Like, I'm sure at some point McKinnon got scratched, and some of the other names that you mentioned, it's like there are guys who are hungrier than you, and if you're not going to put in the effort, those guys are ready. They're waiting in the wing. They're ready to go, and if you're not going to bring your A game every night, you're not guaranteed that spot. So go earn it every single night. And if you're not doing that, then you could be out the door. And I mentioned that because we saw this we saw this with Seth Jarvis, in Carolina. Was not expected to make the team. He was later pick. He wasn't a high draft pick, like top 5. So it was one of those things where he's not expected to make the team. And guess what? He went out and he earned it, and he kicked veteran guys out, and he made a name for himself because he was willing to work his bag off every night. And I just feel like every single one of these players, they almost have that, it's almost like the piece that they know that their position's safe. It's not going to be tampered with. They're just going to keep running it back every time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a recipe for success, because I think it just builds apathy, frankly.
Yeah, and I don't know if it even needs to be scratched, but taking away minutes and opportunities is something that you can do. Skipping a shift on the power play, skipping a shift in a game. I go back to this example all the time. It always sticks out to me. And TJ Oshie pretty much like confirmed it when he came on with the Leafs Morning Take boys and talked with them about it. And he was talking about the year that they won, or in the stretch where they went on to win the Stanley Cup. And he said that Barry Trotz came in and demanded they play a certain way, and they wouldn't play that way. And you could tell like it was just wasn't meshing between Trotz and the and the players. Excuse me, and Trotz and the players, and they were kind of losing a bit. And Trotz basically started telling them like, "You're gonna play this way, or you're not gonna play this, or like you're not gonna play." And they were all kind of like, "Okay, whatever." And all of a sudden, like Ovi would get benched. Ovi would miss shifts.
Right.
He would miss power play time because he's sending a message. You're not going to play this way. You're not going to play at all. And it resonated because all of a sudden they all looked at each other and said, okay, fine, fuck it. We'll play that way. And they went on to win a Stanley Cup. And I'm not saying that that's the exact situation here or that somebody comes in and does that here. But to your point, like, it just never happened. And I think part of it was the impact it made on Alex Ovechkin and the other top-end players trickled down. It also impacted your second and third and fourth line guys.
Right.
It impacts your second and third pair guys because they look over and see Alex Ovechkin sitting on your bench, missing shifts, being a grocery stick, and they kind of realize, I have to do those things because I'm not as good as that guy. So I have to do the little things. And then Ovi starts doing the little things and he gets his minutes back and they go on to win a Stanley Cup. And it's like, you won the ultimate prize and it all paid off. Even if you only won one, you did it. And like, again, they just never had that in Toronto. How many times, well, I know you don't watch it as closely, but like, how many times can you think of where Mitch Marner was sat? Where Austin Matthews was sat? William Nylander got sat, so it's a different situation, but that was much earlier in his career, and that was by Sheldon Keefe, and I don't think Keefe liked him very much, but I think that's a little bit different. But like, I can't think of a time where even like John Tavares got sat down. I don't know if I said scratched, but got sat. Like these guys would miss shifts and get benched, and they wouldn't get to go out there. It never happened with the big boys. It was like you'd bench fucking like Callie Yarncroke or like Easton Cowan now. Or, go back then and it was your, like, Ilya Mikheyevs. It's like, what message does that send? And even if it's beyond sending a message, like, what kind of culture does that instill? Back to the question about culture. Like, what does that do? It's just, we're too far down the road, and it's fucking terrifying.
As a coach, you don't need to say, you need to even say, I think the players pick up on it almost subconsciously. Like they just strung together 8 terrible shifts, no repercussions for it, so yeah. I'm fine.
Yeah,
I can squeeze by. Hey, I'm gonna hop off here, but I wanted to say Godspeed with your move.
Thank you.
I'm glad I'm not you right now, so hope all goes well with that. Also, despite all the negativity in the chat during these sorts of things. Everybody comes here for a reason, and that's because you're great at what you do. And if the Leafs worked half as hard as you, this wouldn't be the funeral session that it is. So appreciate you.
Thank you, Canes fan. I appreciate that, buddy. I appreciate the call. I appreciate the kind words. Yeah, this move, it's killing me, buddy. It's killing me.
Forget the salts.
The salts will be back out for the next show. I promise people that. On Monday night, they will be back. Tomorrow, I will be moved home. This is the other thing. I got to move twice. I got to move from here to my parents' house, and then I get my new place in 10 days, and then I move back downtown. So I got to do it twice. But the salts, I promise, will be out on Monday. Thanks for the call.
You're just going to need an IV at this point.
Oh, minimum. I'm going to need an IV and to sleep for 48 straight hours. Thanks for the call, buddy. I appreciate it. It's always good to hear from you, and look forward to hearing from you soon.
Yeah, see ya. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too. There you go. Anonymous Canes fan on the line. Let's go to our final caller of the night here. He's been waiting. I did almost jump through the screen and choke him out at one point, and I think a couple callers did as well, and he didn't even have to say anything here tonight. But let's welcome to the program, Prague. Prague, are you aware that you were on a phone call not on mute while you were waiting in the loading dock?
I have no idea.
There?
Sorry about that. My bad.
It's all good. I say that I was going to jump through the screen and choking you out as a joke. Yeah. Now, I went in and manually muted you. One of the callers, Dale, called in and he's like, Prague's mic is buzzing. I went into the background of the Zoom call and I found it and I could hear you. And I was like, oh, this is a problem. And I muted you. But
I was talking to my buddy from family medicine residency. Anyways,
all good.
Sorry about that, everyone.
It's all good. Lessons learned. Just like John Tavares.
Yeah, okay, so I don't even know where to begin. First of all, I think accountability, like this entire franchise, since basically the teachers union owned it, has been just all about money. Because that's when the prices went through the fucking roof. That's when they would trade early. They'd trade young prospects just to try and get into the playoffs, and they'd never get into the playoffs. We had that 15-year shit show at the end of the Sundin era. But now, like, if I look back, they hired Lou without interviewing anyone else. They hired Babcock. He won one cup with a team that has, 15 Hall of Famers? And the best, like Nick Lidstrom, Stevie Yzerman, Sergei Fedorov. Like, they had everybody. He didn't win a cup with the 2003 Anaheim Ducks. I'm saying they hired Lou. They hired, they chose Dubas, but Lou never, like, it came out, I think, earlier this year on one of, what's his name? The 32 podcast, that Lou never developed, like, he kept everything close to his vest, that he never even taught either Dale Hunter or Dubas how to become a GM in the NHL, never gave him the connections that he had because he wanted to keep the job. And then if you remember the one of those Amazon Prime things where they're trading for Nick Foligno and he's like asking Shanahan, should I give him an extra fourth? He needed some guidance. But Shanahan, like every time, okay, they trashed Nylander every single time for the last decade, even this year. I hear fucking callers talking about trash about Nylander now. And I'll get back to that. But whenever Keefe, who's our only good coach, I would say, even though he had 2 seasons that were partial and pandemic, whenever he said anything about Marner or Matthews, within that day, 24 hours max, he'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that." That doesn't come from Dubas, because like Dubas said, "Okay, I'll give him suggestions. We talk," but he doesn't. He was young still at that point in his tenure. That comes from Shanny and the ownership. The DNA and culture change. They talk about that every fucking year for, 20 years. And they'd go for the tough vet player who can't score. Trade first, seconds, eighths, whatever the fuck we have. And we don't know what we could have had. We have nobody to take. Okay, you're going to trade your all-time best player and center when he's having the worst 2 years of his career. Make it make fucking sense. He's still a top 5 center or top 6 center in the league, even with his shit years. He's still on a pace to score. But people will still talk like that. Like they're fucking stupid. How long did it take us to get Sundin? Sundin was our best center until Matthews. And I loved Dougie. Dougie was my boy after Wendell. And, like, for fuck's sakes, people are just so stupid. We need to... And the thing is, when I was arguing about getting rid of Berube, it's because of what I saw last year. And I argued about that with you in November. Because we knew Berube was coming in before Keefe was even really fired. And that was also another 30, I think it was 31 Thoughts podcast at that point, or whatever it was. Who knows what it was? Fuck, who knows? But like, and where's the accountability? You talk about Cowan. I say play him somewhere.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The stupid players union and their new thing said you can't even if you are ELC and don't have waiver, you can't be claimed off waivers. You don't need waivers. Before the Olympics, you can't play in the AHL if you played more than 15 games in the last 20. They played him 17. They could have still sent him down, and that's only for the time that there was the Olympics. They could have still sent him down for the week and a half that he was not playing before, or the week he was not playing before. He could have played the last weekend with the AHLers.
He also had to, just to add context, he also had to meet the criteria of he couldn't have been with the team for longer than 80 days or something like that. So he would have had to be sent
that was
down.
a second thing?
Yeah, there was another piece to it. Just to add context. I am in agreement with you, by the way. I just want to add context on that. It was Justin Bourne put it out, and it was needed context for me too. Yeah. So it was something about how many days he had been with the team at the point of January 20th also factored in. So to Bourne's point, you look at December, 30 days, November, 30 days, October, you're reaching around your 80-day mark there by the beginning of the season. So he would have had to be with the Marlies for about 2 weeks total, cumulative, over that course of time. So just to add context. But still, I agree with you. I just want to add context.
No, but okay, he started off like any rookie. He also played really high up in the lineup for the first 2 months. But then he was around 15, almost 16. He was 16, just over 16 minutes around end of November, and I think he started playing around the 4th game of the season. Fine, that's what they're doing. At least they're playing him, right? But then, it's hard. It's a lot more minutes. It's a tougher league. But by middle of December, maybe late December, he was barely getting 11 minutes. And, I personally think this year got fucked by management and coaching. Because when we didn't have Lawton because of his early injury, they were changing the lines like we discussed 30 times a day. Mm-hmm. So you can't create chemistry. You don't know where you're going. You don't know who's in the lineup. You don't know who's the goalie, except for he played, Stolar's 10 games in a row for the first time in his career. He has a history of injuries. Great job. And then as soon as Lawton, and he played Domi at center. Last year he played Domi at center. Like, how stupid are you? And then Lawton comes back and he just sticks with the same people for 10 games at a time, at minimum. If he never changes the defense when everybody's yelling about the defense. Riley is still playing the most minutes of any defender, generally. like except for maybe a month when Stetcher came. He still has played the most minutes, and even to this day they're playing. He's playing like 20 plus minutes a night or some whatever the fuck. It's 20 minutes too much, and he never changed it. Matthews, you could tell he was hating life from the beginning of the season. He hated how they were playing because he was being played as a fucking fourth line grinder, playing all those defensive minutes. He's still playing fucking fourth line grinder fucking defensive minutes, like you said earlier. And they fired the assistant coach when everybody was calling for his head. What other fucking team has ever done that? Do you remember another team doing that? And where's the accountability? Where's the accountability?
Yeah.
Like, okay, when what's his face was out, I know he hated Conf. When Lawton was out, we had room for Conf. We didn't have a defender. We didn't have a defensive 4C or 3C or anybody. We're playing fucking Domi at second line center, or first line center, or second line center, behind Tavares, and overplaying Tavares. He burnt out, and you could see that for the last 20 games before the break. But you could tell these players were stopped playing for him around November, and then Matthews and everybody else were like, "Fuck it, we're just going to play the way we want to play." That happened just before Christmas. And they went on a 10-game run, 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 11, whatever the fuck. But that was just, every team goes through that. Even the Colorado Avalanche that ended up with 39 points or whatever the fuck it was, the lowest ever in the last 40, 50 years. Well, since 74 Capitals, is they had a 6-game winning streak or something like that. This team just cares about making money. They've always moved too fast. And the coach should have been fired. The last 3 games, every single game, you could tell they didn't give a fuck about the coach. They hate the coach almost as much as I hate the coach. Because last year we were getting filled in. San Jose, I think, scored 6-5 and won against us. Last year, San Jose, Macklin Celebrini's first year, Will Smith's second. They had nobody. They had less. They didn't have anybody. They were getting filled in. And what the fuck happened? We were getting filled. We got filled by every single team. We just had enough star power to get a goal here and there and beat the shit teams. Yes, we didn't let the shots go in from the sides, but we let the most shots in per goalie. We just got great goalies. But you would think the guy who coached last year knows about the injury history of the goalies, and he tried to play one goalie 4 games in a row, and they got injured. You'd think he would remember for this year. Really, the only thing I thought he was good at was having vampire-like skin because of that cut. I need to know his skincare regimen because that's fucking amazing. Other than that, he doesn't know shit. I don't know how he won. Honestly, he had Alex Pietrangelo. Literally, there's 2 teams in the last 16 years that have won the Stanley Cup without a number 1 overall pick. Los Angeles, who had Drew Doughty, who was the number 2, right? And who else? St. Louis. But St. Louis, the way he plays the players, he's playing every player like he was, a grinder. But he doesn't realize we have fucking skilled players. And he doesn't change anything. Why is Riley on the power play at all? Or put him on the second power play. Heck, do something.
Yeah. All right, Prague.
No,
I'm going to have to call it there. No, I'm not saying anything's wrong with
Okay, so you let everybody else talk. I'm just
You just had 13 minutes, yeah.
Dude, but what is it I'm saying that's wrong? They're not going to fire this coach. And
Nothing you're saying. We've just been, it's a 3-hour show. We're good. I just let you go at it for 13 minutes. Now we're calling it. That's all.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
Have a
it's
good night, man.
nothing wrong. I'm just shutting. We're just moving on here. We're
Oh,
we're
but by the
good.
way, honestly, I've never heard. I'm really sorry that you went through that thing with your moving, because I've never heard of it. I've moved like 40 times in my life for different schools. Usually they say the word.
Now I know. Now I know.
Sunday and Saturday are usually the days they say you can use this certain elevator and you can move all you want. You just have to tell us.
I know.
So you can book
That's
the
what
times.
I thought. That's what I thought.
Or they say
I have the
okay,
U-Haul
you can move
booked
during
for the
daytime.
morning.
Daytime during the week, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
people are working, and not too late on the weekends, right?
Yeah.
'Cause people have kids.
That's
And
what I
you
thought.
just book it with us, and we'll just let you have the elevator key for like the hour, 2, 3 hours, whatever you need. But I've never Sunday. What is
I know,
Sunday?
man. I know. That's what I thought. I'm like, I was also like, I gotta work Saturday. I gotta do the leave stuff. I'm gonna be here. I'll do the leave stuff, and then I'll wrap it up, and I'll get out of here on Sunday. And then I go, and I'm like, yeah, we're good for the elevator tomorrow. And they're like, oh no, actually, like, there must have been a mistake. You can't book the elevator on Sunday. I'm like, what?
They
And
knew
they're
you're
like,
leaving.
yeah, and I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, no, like, you can't. And like, holy fucking shit. Like, also, this one makes no sense because you think about it, how many people, nobody cares. I mean, I don't know how many people care about this stuff, but it's kind of funny just thinking about this, bro.
No,
Like,
life is life, right?
Yeah.
I want to
but like,
commiserate with you because I've done
but like,
this shit
think
too.
about this too. Like, so let's say like the normal, this is where we're at in this. Let's say like the normal like rent is the first, like ends on the last of the month and starts on the first of the month.
Mm-hmm.
This weekend literally is last of the month, first of the month. So people starting their rent tomorrow can't move in. That's what you're telling me? You know what I mean? Like, how insane is that?
Oh, wait, yeah, because tomorrow's March 1st.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got confused a little bit for a second.
Yeah, because we went from 28th to the 1st. And so that's why I was, like, extra confused. I'm like, nobody can move in? They're like, no, like, you can't. I'm like, okay, can I talk to somebody? And they're like, yeah, it's going to cost you. I was like, I'll just do it. I was like, I'll do it today. Like, so I just moved everything out of here today. I moved it to my girlfriend's house. And the only thing I have left, if you could see my room right now, like I left the background so that it looked like something was going on. But then.
But it's probably like you got like clothes and shit on the
floor. Dude, I've got boxes everywhere. Everywhere right now. Like the floor around me right now is a nightmare. So I'm going to wrap this up. Yeah,
everybody loves moving. Obviously, that's like the favorite thing of everybody's life. It's not the other things.
Like the only times I've moved before. So I moved when I moved home from university, and like the first time was when I moved home from residence, and then the second time was when I moved home from when we lived in a house. Those weren't as bad because you're just like, your parents come, you pack all your shit up, and you leave. It's just like, it is what it is. This is fucking awful because like I'm on my own. You know, so it's like all of my things, like, you know, at university, you don't have a coffee machine or utensils really, or like you do when you live in the house, but like not really, kind of, you know what I mean? Like everyone likes it. This is like, it's just mine. Like, it's just like my coffee machine, my coffee pods, my fucking cutlery and everything that I gotta like pack all this stuff up. And I'm like going through my cupboards. I'm like, this is a goddamn nightmare. And now I have to, and then they're like, yeah, well, also, by the way, you can't move out tomorrow. Great. So moved everything out today, all the big stuff. The only thing I got left is all my boxes and shit. And the other thing I have is my desk, which I'm just going to have to hide from the cameras tomorrow when I move out and just like run into the elevator, run downstairs to the car and throw it in, because that's how I'm doing the show right now.
Do you have any big friends? Do you have any big friends that you can hide it behind?
I know. I was thinking garbage bag. I'm going to wrap it in a garbage bag or a blanket and get it out of here. But yeah, if any of them are listening right now, you didn't hear that. But yeah, what a nightmare, Prague. What a nightmare. That's part of it. I'm not trying to like cut you off and tell you to stop.
No, but see,
it's just we're at it for 3 hours and 10 minutes. I gotta shut this down at some point.
I forgot about the time, but here's the one thing. I wish it happened late enough that you didn't have to watch that piece of fucking shit. That was like they didn't even mail it in. They had their no mail it in, or their fucking great grandfather. Yeah, it's like their ghost or some shit. Like, I don't know. They were not. I swear to God, something. I think I've worked harder, like I think I've seen those Timbit kids play harder than those guys did because those guys were not even moving. Like you saw how that one goal on the or both goals on the power play that they let in, they didn't even bother. They were just like putting their stick out there. It was like I was watching Marner in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
Anyways,
right,
man,
Frog. Thanks
have
for
a
the
good
call,
night,
buddy.
and good luck tomorrow, and good luck with the 2 or 3 more moves you have until 10 days. Like
tomorrow and 10 days from now. That's the plan. But yes,
tomorrow's lease is just closed and shit, and the
yes,
desk.
Exactly. Prague, thank you for the
have
call,
a good
buddy.
one, brother.
I appreciate
Cheers.
it. I'll see you soon. All right,
have
there
a
you
good
go.
one. Cheers.
There you go. Prague on the line. A couple more things to get to before we can wrap this thing up. We'll just go through these things quickly. We did get a massive super chat. Just an outrageous super chat here. Super chat that came in from our guy. One of the top super chatters here on this channel all time. You know, he came in big this season and he has been absolutely just mashing away since. Tom Robbins of the super chat of all time here. There's so much to talk of Tree being